Chapter 2447. Peerlessly terrifying old ox Lin Feng looked at the 9 bestial saints' faces and burst into laughter. Since they really wanted him to become a high-level saint to teach him a good lesson, he was precisely trying to become one. He didn't mind fighting against them a few times to study their original strength. It was a rare opportunity. Besides, the 9 bestial saints were extraordinary cultivators with an advanced understanding of energies. "Master Ape, use other kinds of original strength to help me study them," said Lin Feng to the smiling golden ape. He was surprised but grinned. That little boy wasn't afraid, he liked that. "Use your full strength to attack me." "No need to be scared," said the grinning golden ape. Lin Feng nodded. A dazzling golden armor appeared on the golden ape. It was gold original strength, probably extremely resistant. Lin Feng raised his spear and attacked. His spear turned into a light beam and crashed onto the armor, and sparkles appeared. Of course, it couldn't pierce through. When your gold strength reaches the maximum level, your defense becomes incredible. It's better than a saint's armor. Other people's attacks are too weak to pierce through. Of course, if someone's penetration strength is powerful enough, then they can pierce through my original strength, the golden ape said to Lin Feng. Penetration strength? Lin Feng was surprised. Indeed. If your attacks are extremely powerful, as a low-level saint, you can defeat enemies. But when you're a high-level saint, direct attacks are not as efficient. Many high-level saints use incredible treasures, and even without them, their physical defense is also incredibly powerful. So direct attacks become useless. I can make armors using a fusion of earth and gold strength. Ordinary high-level saints can't do anything against me. "How do I carry out an attack which has penetration strength?" asked Lin Feng. Many sorts of original strengths contain penetration strength. Earth original strength automatically has a sort of penetration strength expressed through pulsations. When using empty space strength, it's even more incredible. "Cultivators who use empty space strength don't even need to defend themselves," said the gold ape. An armor suddenly appeared on Lin Feng's body. The gold ape made it for him. "Sense my earth original strength's penetration power," said the golden ape patiently. He put his hand on Lin Feng's armor. Lin Feng sensed a strength envelop his body, pulsating with power. The ape used more force, and Lin Feng groaned with pain. If the ape wanted, he could easily destroy Lin Feng's internal organs. "Did you sense that? That's earth strength at the maximum level. You need to study a lot to make your original strengths reach their maximum level," said the ape impolitely. Lin Feng nodded. Indeed, he had to study a lot. The ape could actually use earth strength to become a part of the earth and didn't even need to worry about defense anymore. If you understand empty space strength at the maximum level, then you don't need to use earth original strength. You don't even need to worry about defense. When you use empty space strength to attack, the attacks attack the cultivator directly, and not their defense, said the golden ape. Lin Feng looked thoughtful. Another bestial saint spoke up. "All right, I'll show you what empty space original strength looks like at the maximum level. Come and attack me." Lin Feng nodded. His silhouette flickered and he attacked. He raised his spear and attacked. However, when he attacked, the spear appeared next to the beast even though he hadn't moved. Empty space divergence. Lin Feng was astonished. He raised his left hand and pointed his finger at the beast. Whistling sounds spread in the air, and powerful death stamps moved towards the beast. However, the attack stopped in front of the beast and appeared in another space. Then, the beast raised his finger and Lin Feng's attack moved aside. Phew! How to fight in such conditions? Lin Feng was stupefied. As expected, original strength at the maximum level wasn't something so simple. The old ox watched. All of them looked interested as they watched Lin Feng, their eyes glittering. Lin Feng was determined they liked that. After that, Lin Feng was attacked by an illusion original strength attack. He didn't understand anything anymore. He moved back and took a deep breath when it finished. How scary. You sensed so many types of original strengths at the maximum level, but understanding original strength and reaching its maximum level is something else. And doing it in a short time is impossible, said a bestial saint to Lin Feng. Lin Feng's face stiffened. It was true. He had experimented a lot, but understanding original strength was another story. How difficult. Did he have enough time? If the old ox is willing to help you, he can save you a lot of time, said the bestial saint. Lin Feng was surprised. Master Ox, you hoped we would help him. Why don't you help him yourself? You can help him more than us, the bestial saint said to the old ox. I haven't attacked for a very long time. I forgot how to attack, said the old ox indifferently. I know our master made you swear you wouldn't do anything unless the new master reached a certain level. But you don't necessarily need to fight, attack, or whatever to help him, said that cultivator with a smile. Lin Feng didn't understand. He only knew that the old ox was the manager of that world. He could go anywhere in this world, just like Lin Feng. He had privileges in this world, maybe even more than Lin Feng. Little boy, you know what kind of strength Master Ox controls? I don't know, said Lin Feng, shaking his head. He was convinced the old ox was extremely strong, but he didn't know how strong. From what I know, 4 of his original strengths have reached the maximum level and he has already fused them together. You can't imagine how strong he is, said that bestial saint with a smile. Lin Feng frowned. A fusion of 4 original strengths. How terrifying. He even controlled special kinds of original strengths, since he was a peerless saint. Which ones? A fusion of slow and fast allows a cultivator to make time and things move slower or faster. Have you ever heard of that? Asked the bestial saint smiling. Lin Feng nodded. I have. With empty space strength at the maximum level, a cultivator can also modify time and space, explained the bestial saint. Lin Feng was shocked and looked at the old ox. Master Ox, you can modify the speed at which time passes? The old ox remained silent, but nodded. He admitted he could. How strong. Slow and fast strength can really do that. How incredible, thought Lin Feng, delighted. The old ox controlled empty space original strength at the maximum level. It meant that he could make time pass slower or faster than in other places. Please help me, Lin Feng asked the old ox. The bestial saint's eyes twinkled. They wanted to see the old ox' incredible methods, as making time pass faster or slower was something incredible to see. They would also be able to study it. Therefore they tried to help Lin Feng. All right, I will, said the old ox. He released a mysterious kind of strength, which filled the air. Lin Feng suddenly had a strange sensation, but he couldn't describe what it felt like. He raised his arms. He wasn't moving faster or slower. It wasn't like fast or slow strength. It was extremely strange. The speed at which time passes now has already changed. I will protect you from outside. One day in the outside world is like a dozen days here, said the old ox to Lin Feng and the others. My master and I studied this kind of strength in Ganji's time. When you stay there for years and come out, you realize only 2 days pass in the outside world, but you don't feel anything strange there. You just save time. Ganji's time. Lin Feng looked surprised. The old ox and the god had been to Ganji's time, and they had come out safe and sound. Ganji's time was a forbidden territory. Some other people had also come out safe and sound. There was a legend in the continent of the 9 clouds, where some people went to Ganji's time and when they came out, they were already so old that they were about to die. No wonder. If time passed extremely quickly inside, everything was possible. As Lin Feng was practicing cultivation with the high-level saints, the strong cultivators of the Fortune Shrine arrived at the empty space shrine. An empty space palace was floating in front of them. They looked furious and determined. That's how the situation in the continent of the 9 clouds really became explosive. Chapter 2448. Chaotic battles. The shrines were the most powerful groups in the continent of the 9 clouds. They didn't need to protect themselves because nobody dared attack them in normal times. However, in times of turmoil, things were different and nobody could anticipate a world sinking into chaos. When the strong cultivators of the Fortune Shrine landed in the empty space shrine, the whole empty space shrine was shaken. Some incredible strong cultivators were in the empty space shrine to punish them. In a very short time, corpses fell from the sky, one after another. A terrifying chi filled the air. Everybody felt the pressure. 5 people had appeared in the sky above the empty space shrine. Those 5 people looked like gods, especially the one who was holding a scepter from which destiny lights emerged. He looked like an almighty god. "Fortune shrine, what's this supposed to mean?" asked someone at that moment coldly. An ice-cold energy filled the air. The empty space shrine used the celestial sealing map to seal the U-City and to attack the disciples of the Fortune Shrine. "We obviously can't stay aside and watch, right? So we came with the scepter of destiny," said the strong cultivator in the middle calmly. The strong cultivators of the empty space shrine looked furious. Many people were shuddering with fear. The empty space shrine was sinking into chaos and fear. The scepter of destiny was a precious item of the same level as the celestial sealing map. The celestial sealing map could seal heaven and earth. The scepter of destiny contained the destiny heavenly destruction technique. "Everything is negotiable," said a strong cultivator of the empty space shrine in a trembling voice. The 5 peerless saints of the Fortune Shrine had come with the scepter of destiny. They were just insane. "When you sealed the U-City, you didn't ask us if we wanted to talk," said a strong cultivator of the Fortune Shrine coldly. "The world has sunk into chaos. Everything is allowed. Since you used the celestial sealing map, we use a similar weapon and peerless saints can attack as well. There are no rules anymore." After that, he raised his hand and threw out the scepter of destiny. It floated in the air and destiny lights appeared all around the empty space shrine. "Feel the strength of destiny," said a strong cultivator of the Fortune Shrine coldly. Destiny lights enveloped the empty space shrine. The terrifying destiny strength kept rolling in waves all around. "No," shouted someone furiously. The empty space shrine was really going to sink into chaos. The Fortune Shrine was crazy. They had decided to attack the empty space shrine directly. They had come with the scepter of destiny and the empty space shrine didn't have the celestial sealing map to protect themselves. "Seal," said someone coldly. Instantly, some golden lights appeared and flashed. They sealed the whole shrine. However, the peerless saints of the Fortune Shrine just smiled coldly. One of them raised his hand above his head and celestial star strength appeared in the sky and turned into a cosmic rain. Gigantic meteorites started falling from the sky, crashed onto the golden lights, and destroyed them. Lights flashed. Strong cultivators landed in front of the strong cultivators of the Fortune Shrine. The space became distorted. A vortex appeared and started absorbing the strong cultivators of the Fortune Shrine. "Umph." The few saints smiled coldly and simply dispersed. "Condense," said a strong cultivator of the empty space shrine coldly. A saint of the Fortune Shrine had the sensation as if he were trapped in moving sands. The space around him was being sealed. The strong cultivator of the empty space shrine then teleported himself and reappeared next to the Fortune Shrine's strong cultivators. He raised his finger and the space around him crackled. The Fortune Shrine's strong cultivators shouted furiously and attacked. The atmosphere kept crackling. The peerless saints of the Fortune Shrine turned into light beams. The empty space shrine's strong cultivators didn't feel relaxed at all. A mysterious strength surrounded the strong cultivator of the empty space shrine. "Break!" shouted that strong cultivator furiously. His body exploded and he turned into millions of pieces before vanishing. On the other side, there was a terrifying battle going on. The body of the peerless empty space shrine's saint which had just exploded condensed again there. At the same time, the peerless saints of the Fortune Shrine reappeared, moving together in perfect harmony. At that cultivation level, battles were unimaginably fantastic. However, the space wasn't sealed. The scepter of destiny flashed again. The strong cultivators of the empty space shrine were deathly pale and shaking. That ancient scepter of destiny was a deadly weapon. It could defy the laws of physics and kill people. Many of the empty space shrine's strongest cultivators kept falling from the sky one after another. "Have the celestial sealing map come back," shouted someone. At that moment, in Du City, Cheong Fan was seated cross-legged and suddenly pulled a long face. His face paled. "Cheong Fan, the Fortune Shrine came to our shrine with the scepter of destiny. I need the celestial sealing map to come back," shouted someone explosively. That voice reverberated everywhere in Diu City. At that moment, people in Diu City raised their heads and looked at the sky. It was undulating. Everybody was trembling. The fortune shrine had gone to the empty space shrine with the scepter of destiny? How incredible! Would that bring the conflicts to the next level? No. The fortune shrine wants to protect Lin Feng at all costs, which means he is definitely in Diu City. Besides, we can now be sure that he's a forbidden person, replied Qiong Fan. They couldn't let Lin Feng live. The fortune shrine was going crazy because of him. They wanted to make the empty space shrine bring the celestial ceiling map back. We can't fight on all fronts, said a voice in the sky again. Since we all agreed on a plan, dear friends, all the shrines should help. Since the empty space shrine is helping Diu City, send your strong cultivators to the empty space shrine to help. The fortune shrine won't be able to do anything if all the shrines encircle them, said Qiong Fan. The fire shrine is really willing to help, so of course I will go there right now. If the others don't help, then we'll give up on Lin Feng. Qiong Fan disappeared and forgot about Lin Feng for the time being. As long as the celestial ceiling map was over Diu City, Lin Feng couldn't escape. They had to help the empty space shrine first. The fortune shrine is not afraid, and the fire shrine, the empty space shrine, and many other shrines are collaborating. It's too dangerous. Many people shuddered. If all the shrines joined hands, wouldn't they be able to destroy the fortune shrine easily? People's hearts were pounding. The empty space shrine had decided to use the celestial ceiling map because of Lin Feng. They wanted to kill him at all costs. And now the fortune shrine had gone to attack the empty space shrine directly, also because of Lin Feng. At that moment, a hole appeared in the celestial ceiling map and people left through it, disappearing from everyone's field of vision. Everybody understood that those were people who were teleporting to the empty space shrine. After that, the celestial ceiling map shut itself again, and Diu City was sealed once more. I wonder what's happening in the empty space shrine, murmured many people, gazing into the distance. There was probably a terrifying battle as fierce as the war in the ancient past. Since the end of the war in the old days, the shrines had never fought again. The world is sinking into chaos more and more every day, whispered an old man in Diu City, looking up at the sky. Li Xiao and the others were astonished when they appeared in the sky of the empty space shrine. After Qiong Fan had left, Ordinary had seen them off too. They were annoyed because even though they were shrine's members, if Qiong Fan wasn't there, Ordinary wasn't willing to host them. Next to Ordinary, Ao Songhai said, "The world has sunk into turmoil because of Lin Feng. I wonder how big the first shrine's battle will be." "Don't worry, you can't imagine how complex the shrine's plans can be," said Ordinary, smiling as if he understood things clearly. "What do you mean?" asked Ao Songhai. "The fortune shrine wants to protect that cultivator called Lin Feng, so they went to the empty space shrine, and they must have killed many strong cultivators there, but no peerless saint will die. That battle isn't a decisive battle. Its sole purpose is to annoy the empty space shrine. After the others arrive, the fortune shrine will leave. Do you really think the fortune shrine would take the risk of getting destroyed? And do you think that other shrines would take the risk of trying to kill the fortune shrine's peerless saints?" Ordinary smiled. He was a peerless saint, so he understood that for a shrine to kill a peerless saint, they had to make great efforts, and they had to be willing to suffer incredible losses too. "Master, you're really farsighted, but if someone has the power to kill those peerless saints and to break the balance, they will," said Ao Songhai. "I know Lin Feng, he's a good guy. He probably has a forbidden body. I wonder whether he will survive." "Funny, I also know a little boy called Lin Feng," Ordinary smiled. "But breaking the balance is easier said than done. All the shrines have precious items like the celestial ceiling map." "Yes, such items are the shrine's ultimate trump cards," Ao Songhai agreed. Ordinary smiled and didn't say anything else. He just raised his glass of liquor. He was curious to see how the world would evolve in this time of chaos. Chapter 2449. Discovered Diu City had been sealed for a few days already. Local people were not going through happy times. Nobody could guess how the situation was going to evolve. At the same time, Mou, Ho Qing Lin, and the others were also stuck in Diu City. They were so worried that their hearts burned constantly. They had no news from Lin Feng, and they had no news regarding the shrine's battle either. They didn't know where to go to be safe. But the Fortune Shrine had gone to the Empty Space Shrine to kill people to protect Lin Feng. It was incredible. The continent of the Nine Clouds hadn't been so lively since the ancient war. Time passed. Lights appeared in the celestial ceiling map. A few people descended from the sky and landed in Diyu City. The crowd was astonished. The Shrine's alliance was back so soon? How had the Shrine's battle ended? Ordinary, the supreme cultivator, was still with his guests. He wanted to settle in Diyu City and had recruited some disciples. That's why he had invited some friends as well. It wasn't surprising. They're back. Songhai, how do you think the battle ended? Asked Ordinary with a grin. The Empty Space Shrine has lost many strong cultivators, including some high-level saints. The Fortune Shrine went there and probably didn't leave empty-handed, replied Ao Songhai. Regarding the alliance, I don't think they will necessarily use precious items like the celestial ceiling map, but I think they will go to the Fortune Shrine. I'm convinced all sorts of shrines are waiting outside of the Fortune Shrine even now. What you mean is that they won't allow the Fortune Shrine's people to come out? Said Ordinary, smiling. Indeed. They must have sent some Peerless saints to stay outside of the Fortune Shrine so the Fortune Shrine won't bother them again while they try to kill Lin Feng. For them, killing Lin Feng is the best way to get their revenge. Indeed. But, apart from that, the other shrines want to kill Lin Feng, and also, they hope the tensions between the Fire Shrine and the Fortune Shrine will deepen, said Ordinary indifferently. Both of them burst into laughter. Qiong Fan was back in Diyu City. Apart from him, there was another Peerless saint in Diyu City, Lu Yang from the Empty Space Shrine. At that moment, both of them were in the sky and inspected the city with their godly awareness. However, after a long time, they still couldn't find Lin Feng. They were stupefied. Same as last time, and this time, nobody prevented me from inspecting any area, said Qiong Fan. Maybe he has an incredible empty space treasure which allows him to hide really well. We need to pay attention, said Lu Yang. He was a saint of the empty space illusion. He knew how extraordinary empty space strength could be. Just, maybe we need to break people's rings, said Qiong Fan. Breaking into people's rings was one of the worst things cultivators could do in life, but they didn't care. Let's do it, said the two people, closing their eyes. Their terrifying godly awareness enveloped the whole city. Qiong Fan's godly awareness turned into a fire all and Lu Yang's godly awareness turned into an empty space sword. They started breaking people's ring seals and breaking into them. At that moment, someone pulled a long face in Diyu City. He sensed that the seal of his ring was being broken and that someone's godly awareness was penetrating into it. That strong cultivator could break the seal of his ring easily. It's them. When he thought of the shrines, he pulled a long face. People's rings contained precious treasures. It was against all rules in the cultivation world. It was a blasphemy, but now, those people dared break their ring seals. Very quickly, many strong cultivators sensed that the seals of their rings were being broken. They were furious, but they couldn't do anything. It was humiliating and infuriating. The shrines dared do anything to find Lin Feng. However, there were many people in Diyu City, and inspecting people's rings was much more complex than just inspecting the city with godly awareness. Lu Yang and Qiong Fan also bumped into high-level saints who sealed their rings properly, so it was troublesome for Lu Yang and Qiong Fan. They had to talk to the Sanites telepathically and ask them to show their rings to make things simple. They accepted because they feared Lu Yang and Qiong Fan would kill them otherwise. The two Peerless saints inspected people's rings for 20 days, but they didn't find Lin Feng. What's going on now? Could it be that he's escaped from Diyu City? Said Qiong Fan. Impossible. Nobody can escape the celestial ceiling map, replied Lu Yang. Haven't we omitted someone? Only our people and Ordinary and his friends, replied Qiong Fan. First, let's inspect our people's rings and then we'll go back and see Ordinary, said Lu Yang. Qiong Fan nodded. Their own people couldn't hide anything from them. They inspected the Fire Shrine and the Empty Space Shrine's strong cultivators' rings. Most people let them check their rings without protesting. But they didn't find anything. If he has an empty space treasure, we can definitely find him. So it seems that he's with Ordinary, said Lu Yang indifferently. They both nodded and flew away. After a short time, they landed where Ordinary lived. Why did you come back? The city is sealed, so some of my friends are stuck here, and some others can't come in. It's been a month, said Ordinary coldly. The city's people were annoyed. The city had been sealed by the celestial sealing map for a month. Brother Ordinary, don't be angry, we have no alternative, Qiong Fan smiled. We came back because we inspected the whole city and we didn't find the one we're looking for, so we thought he might be here. Brother Ordinary, could we inspect the area properly? You already inspected the area using your godly awareness, said Ordinary coldly. We need to inspect people's rings, replied Qiong Fan. Everybody was astonished. Nobody was willing to let him inspect their rings. Apart from you, everybody here is my friend, they're all my guests, and I won't let anyone humiliate them. I hope you understand, said Ordinary, coldly staring at Qiong Fan. They both stared at each other coldly. Ordinary was a supreme cultivator. If he gave way, he'd lose face. What if we really need to inspect your rings? Asked Lu Yang. Try and you'll see, replied Ordinary coldly. Lu Yang remained silent for a few seconds and said to Ordinary, We have no choice but to offend you today. He released his godly awareness and started inspecting, then said to Qiong Fan, You go and inspect our people. They hadn't inspected all their people's rings. Those who had come the previous time and were still there hadn't had their rings inspected yet. All right, Qiong Fan nodded. They didn't want to offend Ordinary, but they had no choice. In the star world, Lin Feng had already been practicing cultivation for more than a year. The old ox hadn't gone away. He had also made time pass differently for Lin Feng, to save time. That year, Lin Feng practiced cultivation really hard. He fought against the bestial saints, he studied, he practiced alone, and when he didn't understand he asked. The bestial saints and Lin Feng slowly became friends. They liked people like Lin Feng. Lin Feng knew he couldn't be too greedy though. He needed to progress step by step. He needed to progress with one sort of original strength, and he chose Earth original strength. Lin Feng was seated cross-legged. He was calmly studying Earth strength pulsations. It felt like a heart with veins and arteries, a very strange sensation. He knew that he made lots of progress, but he hadn't become a high-level saint yet. At that moment, the old ox next to him frowned. He sensed that someone was inspecting the ring and watching them. How much longer do you need? Asked the old ox. Master Ox, I'm almost done, I just need a little bit more time, said Lin Feng. He could sense that something was happening. He didn't know why he had chosen Earth strength. Maybe it was because he was always standing on the ground. All right, I'll give you some more time. Hurry, said the old ox. He released an ominous qi. In the outside world, Qiong Fan was staring at Li Xiao, his eyes glittering. Li Xiao was startled. Take that sword out, Qiong Fan said to Li Xiao. Li Xiao nodded hastily, and a sword appeared in front of him. He was very nervous, wondering why Qiong Fan was staring at that sword. Where did you get it? Asked Qiong Fan coldly. A member of the Fortune Shrine threw it away while we were battling. I took it and she was gone already, said Li Xiao honestly. He didn't dare lie to a peerless cultivator. Moron, said Qiong Fan coldly. He was furious. He had been looking for Lin Feng for such a long time and surprisingly, one of his people had him. He unsheathed the sword and dazzling lights flashed. Lu Yang also arrived and inspected the sword. Strange, there must be a hidden world inside. We can't look inside, it doesn't work, said Qiong Fan. See if you can find a solution, let's take it to the shrine. If he's hiding in there and we take it to the shrine, he will never be able to escape, said Lu Yang coldly. At that moment, Lin Feng was in his spirit's world. His eyes were closed and he was seated in the sky. He visualized an empty world with earth only. He could sense every inch of the ground of the whole world. He could sense the pulsations of the veins of the earth. He was fusing together with the world. In my own world, I can feel things more accurately. When I made my own God intent fuse together with earth strength, it works. In my own world, my earth strength has already reached the maximum level, but it seems that I didn't break through, thought Lin Feng, opening his eyes. He felt annoyed. In the end, it seemed that he was still at his god level. He still didn't have a normal cultivation level like he had in the past, so he couldn't become a high-level saint. But my original strength has reached the maximum level, so I am like any other high-level saint, thought Lin Feng. A wall appeared in front of him. He had made it himself. Not only could he use original strength to fight, he could also create proper things. Thanks to my god strength, even if my other types of original strengths haven't reached the maximum level, I can still make my earth original strength turn into other types of strength. That's an advantage, but it's still not enough, and in the end, it remains earth strength. When my other kinds of original strengths reach the maximum level, I'll be able to destroy high-level saints, he thought. He went back to the star world and arrived in front of the 3 peerless bestial saints. Masters, my earth original strength has already reached the maximum level, but because of my strange body, I can't become a high-level saint. One of them opened his eyes and said to Lin Feng, "Release your original strength and show me." Lin Feng nodded, then he released earth original strength. Explosive earth strength churned in the air, it blotted out the sky and covered the earth. It moved towards the peerless bestial saint. He looked ferocious as he shook his hand and destroyed it instantly. Indeed, it has reached its maximum level. "I'll go out with you," the peerless bestial saint nodded. Qiong Fan and Lu Yang tried all they could to inspect the sword, but nothing worked. What an incredible treasure. We can try and seal it with the celestial sealing map to bring it back to the shrines. "No need," said a voice at that moment. Qiong Fan was stupefied. Then 2 people came out of the precious item, which disappeared. They frowned. That item could really hide people. It really was another world. Li Zhao's face paled. Lin Feng had really been hiding in the precious item. He had been used by Lin Feng. The 2 peerless saints had been looking for him for more than a month. Qiong Fan glanced at them coldly. Surprisingly, Lin Feng was with a peerless saint. "Good little boy," said Ao Songhai. His eyes were twinkling as he smiled happily. It really was Lin Feng. Ordinary, the supreme cultivator, and the peerless cultivators next to him all recognized Lin Feng, as well as the bestial saint next to him. It was one of the 3 peerless bestial saints of the star world. When they were in the star world, fighting against those 3 beasts was part of their exam. "You really think highly of me," said Lin Feng, smiling at Qiong Fan and Lu Yang. He was privately amazed. 2 peerless saints just for him? Suddenly, a dazzling light streaked across the sky. The space around Lin Feng flashed, and he disappeared. How fast? The people around frowned. How incredible! It was a quick attack, and the other side had reacted quickly, too. A moment before, Lu Yang had attacked Lin Feng. He could have killed him instantly, but one of his allies teleported him next to Ordinary and the others. "Can I have a glass too?" asked the bestial saint, smiling at Ordinary. Ordinary smiled and said, "Lin Feng is my little friend. Of course you can have a glass with us. Come to sit." Then he looked at Lu Yang and Qiong Fan and said, "Are you done causing trouble here?" "Brother Ordinary, this is the shrine's business. Please don't get involved," said Qiong Fan. "You tried to inspect our rings with force, you humiliated me, and in the end, one of your own guys helped him hide. You're ridiculous. Lin Feng is our friend and guest today. You can talk to him next time, when he's not my guest," said Ordinary coldly. "I'm not seeing you off." "Are you sure you want to get involved?" asked Qiong Fan coldly. "You consider everyone else beneath your notice, don't you?" Ordinary smiled. His eyes looked ice cold. Nobody had ever threatened him and lived. "Help me watch him," said the bestial saint to Ordinary. Ordinary and the bestial saint had already fought. He knew how strong Ordinary was, so Ordinary was perfectly capable of taking care of Lin Feng. "No problem," replied Ordinary easily. "It's been a long time since I fought for real. It'll be good to train again," said the bestial saint casually. He looked at the peerless saint next to Lin Feng, who was also one of the 4 supreme cultivators who faced the old ox back in the days with Lin Feng, Sa Lung the supreme cultivator. "What do you want to do?" "Lin Feng is also a little friend of mine." "Perfect, today we'll have an opportunity to train," said Sa Lung with a grin. They looked at Qiong Fan and Lu Yang together, and an incredible strength emerged. "I don't believe you can protect him," said Lu Yang, releasing empty space strength. He was also a peerless saint who could protect Lin Feng against him. He flashed forwards and disappeared. After a few seconds, Lin Feng sensed danger. However, at the same time, an incredible earth strength surrounded him and he disappeared. He was in the ground, and when he reappeared, Ordinary the Supreme Cultivator had taken him high up in the air. Brother Ordinary is using the pulsations of the earth, so he can obviously sense what other people do since they move through the world. "Now he's taking me away," thought Lin Feng. At that moment, the Peerless Bestial Saint appeared in front of Lu Yang and stared at him. In Lu Yang's eyes, many silhouettes of the Bestial Saint appeared. Lu Yang was astonished because he couldn't recognize which one was the real one. "Die," said Lu Yang, stretching out his hand. A strong wind started blowing and sweeping everything away. However, the empty space strong wind dispersed when it reached the Bestial Saint, and then his many silhouettes moved forwards. "It's an illusion, a real illusion. Even empty space strength is caught in the illusion," whispered Ordinary when he saw that. He was amazed. Sa Ling also started fighting against Qiong Fan. Lin Feng looked at Ordinary and whispered, "Thank you very much, brother. It's nothing really. Just a slight effort." Back then when we arrived in front of the old ox, we were already 4 of the strongest supreme cultivators. We can easily defeat the peerless saints of the shrines. Sa Lung controls a fusion of dark light strength. "He's a real murderer," said Ordinary with a smile. "But we also need to be careful when they attack you by surprise, because you can't compete with them." "Indeed," said Lin Feng, nodding. He looked at the members of the shrines and said, "But those people really want to kill me, so I have to teach them a good lesson." The members of the shrines were startled. Lin Feng wanted to fight against them? The members of the shrines looked at him with murder in their eyes. Lin Feng shot towards the other members of the shrines. Instantly, a few people released deadly energies. It was an opportunity to kill Lin Feng. A terrifying empty space strength moved towards them. They smiled coldly. He wanted to attack them with such a weak empty space strength? Suddenly, the empty space strength turned into an incredible earth strength and started burying them. At the same time, Lin Feng flashed towards Li Xiao. Li Xiao was staring at Lin Feng. He wanted to regain his lost face. Lin Feng stopped in front of him and pointed a finger at him. Li Xiao groaned coldly. He released empty space strength to surround his body. However, Lin Feng's finger pierced through and Li Xiao's organs were suddenly badly injured. His face paled. Lin Feng put his hand into the golden empty space strength. His hell finger penetrated into Li Xiao's body and destroyed him. Chapter 2451. Killing a High-Level Saint. Earth Pulsations. Ordinary, a supreme cultivator, was astonished when he saw Lin Feng's attack. His attack had the same pulsations as the earth, which made his attack extremely heavy and powerful. That little boy progresses really quickly. No wonder that the old ox thinks highly of him. He'll definitely reach my cultivation level in the future, thought Ordinary. A low-level saint attacked Lin Feng, but was stopped by a stone wall out of nowhere. Ordinary was amazed. Empty space strength and earth strength rotate. First empty space strength invades the space and then it turns into earth strength. Thought Ordinary. How beautiful! Lin Feng punched his enemy's head and killed him instantly and easily. Low-level saints didn't pose a threat to Lin Feng anymore. They were just too weak now. "I'll kill him," said someone coldly. The crowd moved away to let a high-level saint of the empty space shrine pass, as he stared at Lin Feng. His name was Rong Qing. His empty space strength had reached the maximum level, and he had become a high-level saint 3,000 years before. Now, 2 of his original strengths had reached the maximum level, the second one being water original strength. Even though he still hadn't managed to fuse his original strengths together, he was still very strong. "I saw you during the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds. Back then, I never thought you'd fight against me mere decades later. I didn't think the shrines would need to send such forces to fight against you either. You're an exceptional fighter in the continent of the 9 clouds," Rong Qing said to Lin Feng slowly. But you have to understand that even if 3 Peerless Saints are helping you, you won't be able to survive today. The shrines want to kill you, not one shrine, several. You will die today. Lin Feng knew he was in danger. The Yu city was completely sealed, so he couldn't escape. The shrines wanted to kill him. He knew it was a critical situation. But he wasn't weak, either. Brother Ordinary and Brother Sa Lung were helping him. The old ox and the others had also set high expectations and hopes on him. He knew it, even if the old ox was always cold and detached. Many people couldn't wait to see him become stronger. How could he die? He would leave the Yu city, even half dead. Brother Ordinary and Brother Sa Lung were helping him. By helping him, they had offended the shrines. Even if they didn't care, Lin Feng cared. There are many things you hadn't imagined back in the days. Maybe you never thought the empty space shrine would get wiped off the maps of the continent of the 9 clouds, either, replied Lin Feng coldly. Is that so? You look quite calm. You don't know how to evaluate danger. Don't blame me for bullying younger people, retorted Rong Qing, smiling coldly. He released empty space strength, which fused together with the space around him before moving inside. Earth, said Lin Feng. He took a deep breath and calmly sensed the pulsations of the earth. Every inch of the earth pulsated in his veins and arteries. Bright lights appeared in front of him and pressed towards him. Slow, said Lin Feng, while moving backwards. He wasn't frightened at all. He had been fighting against the 9 bestial saints on a daily basis for a long time. They were much stronger than Rong Qing. The empty space strength turned into a sword and continued shooting towards him. However, Lin Feng just tilted aside and the empty space strength flew past his shoulder. Freeze! The space became ice-cold as Rong Qing started freezing the space around them. Lin Feng was surprised at the chill. He countered by releasing earth strength, which turned into an armor. Umph! Rong Qing grunted coldly. He slowly walked towards Lin Feng, releasing empty space strength which penetrated into his body without breaking the ice. He frowned. He realized that his attack hadn't reached Lin Feng's body, as if he wasn't inside. He waved his hand and golden lights appeared in the ice. A terrifying empty space thunder descended from the sky. Break! Rong Qing attacked the frozen earth, and the ice and the earth broke apart at the same time. The terrifying empty space thunder descended from the sky. Anyone who was frozen would be killed. The crowd around them moved away. Rong Qing frowned. He looked down at his feet, where the ground was pulsating. A gigantic piece of ground trembled, rose up, and buried him. A figure appeared in the mud in the ground. It was Lin Feng, who had become an integral part of the earth. The ground was his body. He could sense things clearly, especially Rong Qing's strength in the ground. Lin Feng turned into a beam of light and moved towards Rong Qing. He raised his hand and released strength, his strength pulsing at the same pace as the earth. The ground exploded loudly, and his attack reached Rong Qing, whose face stiffened. He was on the verge of collapse. Opportunity! Lin Feng shouted furiously and threw his fist at Rong Qing's head. His fist contained an oppressive and heavy earth strength which shrieked as it tore space. In the end, he didn't aim at Rong Qing's head and instead punched his chest. However, he wasn't smiling. On the contrary, his expression suddenly changed. Water! Lin Feng had the impression he had punched water. Rong Qing's body was extremely soft. It was pierced through, but nothing happened. As if he had punched water. It was a particular defense of people whose water original strength had reached the maximum level. Die, said Rong Qing, smiling coldly. He already considered Lin Feng dead. Lin Feng's arms started freezing. Rong Qing drove his fist at Lin Feng's head. It contained an incredible empty space thunder. If his fist reached Lin Feng, he was definitely going to die. Slow, countered Lin Feng, releasing slow strength. He slowed his opponent down, and at the same time, he released stone strength, burying his enemy again, but Rong Qing's fist continued moving towards him. Lin Feng waved his arm, and it turned into a stone which pulsed at the same pace as the earth, but did he have time to dodge? He started to evade Rong Qing's attack. Ordinary was impressed. Lin Feng's strength was already not bad. One of his original strengths had already reached the maximum level, but Rongqing had 2 strengths at the maximum level. Lin Feng might not be strong enough to compete with Rongqing. Ordinary was getting ready to get involved. "Die!" shouted Lin Feng at that moment suddenly. The ground trembled. Soundwave and illusion strength smashed into Rongqing's head, even as Lin Feng released earth strength. The soundwave strength was inside the earth strength, so it made Rongqing's head shake unceasingly even as illusions appeared in Rongqing's mind. He had the impression he had already attacked Lin Feng and failed. Acceleration. Lin Feng released fast strength in his arm and threw his fist at Rongqing. At the same time, Rongqing's fist was getting closer and closer to his head. Lin Feng's fist moved far faster, the soundwave strength continuing to resonate. Rongqing had the impression he was carrying the whole world on his shoulders. When he came back to his senses, he realized he hadn't killed Lin Feng yet and was momentarily startled. But he was a high-level saint after all, so he said coldly, "I didn't think you could control so many sorts of original strength. Even though they haven't reached the maximum level, it's an advantage. You used earth, soundwave, and cursing original strengths. Not bad. But you can't kill me. You will die." He was trying to demoralize Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng just looked at him in a cold and detached way. Rongqing controlled water original strength at the maximum level. Was he really invincible because of that? There had to be a solution even if his body was as soft as water. He needed to attack every single part of his body to defeat him, that was it. Lin Feng didn't flinch. He attacked again. Rongqing smiled coldly. Lin Feng was acting recklessly. Did he really want to fight a second time? He was staring at Lin Feng as he condensed empty space strength. He wanted to defeat Lin Feng in one attack. He couldn't give Lin Feng any opportunity. Lin Feng also moved. His speed became incredible. He reached his maximum speed, moving in an eye blink towards Rongqing. Lin Feng raised his fist, in which he had condensed fast strength. Rongqing's body turned into water, and his body became incredibly soft. He wanted Lin Feng's punch to pierce through him, but this time, Lin Feng stopped his fist inside the water. "You can't kill me," said Rongqing, smiling coldly. "Nobody is invincible," replied Lin Feng. He waved his hand and attacked the soft water body again. He condensed fast strength in his hand as well as pulsing earth original strength. Each time the earth strength pulsed, the water rolled in waves. A terrifying sword energy suddenly invaded the water, and God's strength swept everything away. Rongqing's smile suddenly stiffened. His body was starting to disintegrate. How is that possible? Rongqing's face turned deathly pale. His didn't understand. A destructive sword chi tore through him, and Rongqing turned into dust and disappeared in the empty space. Lin Feng smiled coldly. Had Rongqing really thought he was invincible? Chapter 2452. Change. When Lin Feng killed Rongqing, everybody was astonished. Then, several sorts of qi shot towards Lin Feng from all directions. Several people were attacking him at the same time. "Umph." Ordinary grunted coldly. He flashed forwards, the ground undulated and earth strength pulsed at the same pace as everybody's heart. He said, "What are you doing?" Their faces stiffened. If Ordinary attacked, their hearts would explode. His strength gave them a strange sensation, and they were all convinced he was strong enough to destroy them. He was a supreme cultivator, after all. "Brother Ordinary, it's all right," said Lin Feng smiling. 5 bestial saints appeared in front of him, including the golden ape. "Brother Ape, thank you very much," said Lin Feng, smiling at the ape. They had agreed that the bestial saints would help him only once, but this time, it was the second time the golden ape helped him. "My hands feel itchy, hee, the golden ape smiled, glancing at the enemy. "All the shrines want to kill me so bad, we don't need to be polite anymore." "Kill them," said Lin Feng. A ferocious and wild qi burst forth. The bestial saints looked bloodthirsty, ferocious, and excited. The golden ape ran forwards, and the ground collapsed loudly under his feet. Stone walls appeared all around. He wanted to confine and kill them in a small and narrow area. The people outside were aghast. These bestial saints' qi was incredible. They were all high-level saints. This time, the shrine's strong cultivators were really unlucky. Lin Feng took out his great demon halberd of desolation and moved like the wind towards a low-level saint. When the low-level saint saw Lin Feng, his facial expression changed drastically, his face turned deathly pale. Lin Feng had killed Rong Qing, a high-level saint, so a low-level saint couldn't compete with Lin Feng. He moved back, he didn't want to fight against Lin Feng. The great demon halberd of desolation absorbed a terrifying qi. The enemy was far away, but he sensed an incredible strength penetrate into his head. Blood sprayed, Lin Feng waved his hand and his enemy's body exploded. Lin Feng flashed forwards and looked around, like a predator looking for a prey. At the same time, the 5 bestial saints attacked. The bestial saints of the Star World were all incredibly strong, understanding several sorts of original strengths at the maximum level. Their attacks were fast and powerful. Strong shrine cultivators collapsed and died one after another. On the other side, the 4 Peerless saints were still fighting. The powerful bestial saint who controlled a fusion of illusion original strength forced Lu Yang into an illusion. He didn't know what to do anymore. Sa Lung was fighting against Qiong Fan. The crowd was astonished. Qiong Fan was in a critical situation. How unexpected! The shrines had joined hands, the empty space shrine using the celestial sealing map to seal the City to kill Lin Feng. Yet now everything was different from what they had expected. Lin Feng was a forbidden person, all the shrines feared him and wanted to kill him as quickly as possible, but at this moment, Lin Feng had the advantage. There were many strong cultivators helping him. But the crowd also understood that it was just temporary. The shrines hadn't sent all their strongest cultivators to kill Lin Feng. They had just sent 2 Peerless saints because Lin Feng used to be a low-level saint, and 2 Peerless saints was more than enough to kill Lin Feng. At that moment, Ordinary frowned thoughtfully. He raised his head. The City was sealed by the celestial sealing map, so staying there wasn't a solution, and their options were limited here, after all. If the shrines really wanted to kill Lin Feng, they could send many more Peerless saints, and then they'd all be in danger. At that moment, empty space strength undulated. The celestial sealing map? The crowd raised their heads and were startled. The celestial sealing map was rippling. Golden energies appeared and condensed, forming a golden map. A terrifying qi emanated from it. It was definitely the celestial sealing map. Is the city unsealed? The crowd didn't understand. How come the empty space shrine was taking the celestial sealing map back? Ordinary sensed something was wrong. They were taking the celestial sealing map back. It could mean only one thing. Someone had come. Lin Feng, get ready to leave. Ordinary shouted to Lin Feng. Lin Feng was alert and retreated, but at the same time, in the distance, empty space lights flashed towards him. A powerful empty space light flared, and a figure appeared in the sky. It was a golden figure, holding the celestial sealing map. The shrines all have precious items and their leaders control them. That person is the empty space shrine's leader. He must have noticed that the 2 Peerless saints couldn't capture Lin Feng, so he decided to act personally, thought the crowd when they saw that. The man was wearing an empty space robe and looked like a king. He didn't even glance at Lin Feng. Ordinary, I'll give you one opportunity. Do you want to be our enemy, or do you want to protect that guy? The empty space shrine's leader asked coldly. My shrine doesn't to be enemies with you. If you wish, we can even be friends and cooperate. Forget about Lin Feng. You can't protect him, and you'll get in trouble if you continue trying. If you refuse to understand, I won't be polite anymore. Ordinary was staring at him. He knew that all the shrines wanted to kill Lin Feng, and he couldn't fight against all the shrines on his own. Lin Feng was now the master of the Star World, in which there were many extremely strong bestial saints, but could they protect Lin Feng against all the shrines? Lin Feng and the others also stopped fighting. The Peerless bestial saint and Sa Lung also moved back, bringing Lin Feng next to Ordinary. They glanced at each other. The shrines had already lost so many strong cultivators. The same applies for all of you. We can all be friends. I am willing to forget what just happened and not bear recriminations, said the empty space shrine's leader to the Peerless bestial saint and Sa Lung indifferently. Ordinary, what do you think? Sa Lung asked Ordinary. Ordinary took a deep breath and smiled. I've been stuck in a world for so many years, I hadn't thought things would turn out to be this way outside. But I've lived for many years, and many people have tried to threaten me. I continued moving forwards with indomitable will. It's the first time someone has threatened me since I've become a peerless saint, but I still want to try. Ordinary felt relaxed. He was friends with Lin Feng, and those shrines were now his enemies. Besides, Lin Feng is my friend, I will protect him. If you, members of the shrines, leave, I'll do the same, I will forget about what happened and won't attack you, Ordinary smiled. I'm with you, Sa Lung said coldly. The two supreme cultivators were Lin Feng's friends and wanted to protect him. All right, it's your decision. We'll see how you intend to protect him, said the Empty Space Shrine's leader coldly. In times of chaos, the shrines weren't willing to offend peerless saints either. Of course, they didn't fear anyone either. Today, Lin Feng had to die. Nobody could protect him. Chapter 2453, God's Heir. When the Empty Space Shrine's leader had sealed the U City with the celestial sealing map, he had sent two peerless saints and hadn't thought Lin Feng would survive. Nobody had. But things went beyond expectations. Now the Empty Space Shrine's leader had had no choice but to show up personally. On Lin Feng's side, there were three peerless saints, Ordinary the Supreme Cultivator, Sa Lung the Supreme Cultivator, and a peerless bestial saint. They could definitely prevent Qiong Fan and Lu Yang from killing Lin Feng, but the Empty Space Shrine's leader was different. Not only was he incredibly strong, but he also controlled the celestial sealing map and could prevent other peerless saints from entering the U City. Lin Feng, go back to the Star World to hide, said the peerless bestial saint to Lin Feng. The Empty Space Shrine's leader controlled the celestial sealing map, so they couldn't guarantee Lin Feng's safety anymore. All right. Lin Feng knew he was in danger. At that moment, many people appeared and landed in different places. They had arrived a while before, but they hadn't been able to enter the U City because it was sealed. Now, the celestial sealing map had disappeared, so those people could come in. Many of them were from shrines who hadn't gotten involved before, such as the Earth Shrine and the Celestial Sound Shrine. The situation was critical for them, too. Usually, there was a balance of power in the world, but then a forbidden person had appeared. They actually would prefer Lin Feng never existed. The Earth Shrine had good relations with Lin Feng because of Qi Lianshan. They also didn't want the Fortune Shrine to be destroyed, as if some shrines joined hands, then they had to have allies too. We're on the Fortune Shrine's side, said someone from the Earth Shrine. We'll get in trouble. It's difficult, whispered the leader of the group. We'll see. There's a mysterious influential group in Diyu City, I don't know where they're from. Lin Feng is a good guy. If he becomes a god someday, he won't do anything to us, declared a strong guy. It was Qi Lianshan, he knew Lin Feng. Shut up, said his father, standing next to him. Surprisingly, Qi Lianshan dared talk without thinking in such a place. Qi Lianshan, you don't understand what's going on and why the shrines want to kill Lin Feng. At our scale, we don't want anyone to surpass us. The Fortune Shrine and the shrines live in peace with each other because they are equally strong. If the Fortune Shrine becomes stronger than us, you think they will let us live peacefully? If the Fortune Shrine becomes our enemies, who will Lin Feng help? Said the leader of the group indifferently. Qi Lianshan's heart twitched. Things were not as simple as they seemed. Indeed, if anything happened, who would he help? The Empty Space Shrine's leader raised his hand and the map flashed. Lin Feng and three peerless saints looked nervous. The Empty Space Shrine's leader personally came to Diyu City. Lu Yang and Qiong Fan are here too. At the same time, they sent three peerless saints who were guarding outside. Only one peerless saint must be left in the Empty Space Shrine, said someone at that moment. Many people heard that and raised their heads. That person made the Empty Space Shrine understand their enemies had a new option. The Empty Space Shrine's leader raised his head and gazed into the distance, his celestial sealing map suddenly lighting up. An empty space sword streaked across the sky and space crackled. He wanted to make the one who had just spoken up stand out. Golden lights flashed. An illusion faded and many figures appeared in the sky, blotting out the sky and covering the earth, before they suddenly dispersed. Those people were the mysterious influential group the Earth Shrine had talked about. "Who are you?" asked the Empty Space Shrine's leader coldly. He had noticed them, but he hadn't paid attention to them. He hadn't thought they would get involved as well. "Empty Space Shrine's leader, you're ignorant and ill-informed," said a voice again. An ancient coffin appeared in the sky. "I'm not ignorant and ill-informed, you're from the World Clan, which disappeared a long time ago. But you shouldn't be so strong now, yet you all look extremely strong," said the Empty Space Shrine's leader. The crowd shivered. The World Clan? Lin Feng was startled too. How come the World Clan was getting more and more mysterious? Last time he had realized they were enigmatic and unfathomable, as they had dared defend the Fire Shrine. Now, they were standing in the shrine's field of vision. Back in the days, the World Clan was prosperous. The shrines were unscrupulous and insolent. I would have never thought the Empty Space Shrine's leader would have become so insolent and condescending. "Since it's that way, watch," said a voice. In front of the coffin, world lights flashed. They streaked across the sky, and a vortex appeared, swirling into a celestial curtain, and something appeared on the curtain. A shrine. The Empty Space Shrine. Many world coffins had appeared around the Empty Space Shrine. They came from the ancient past, and were floating around the Empty Space Shrine. Some strong cultivators rose up in the air there and stared at the world coffins in shock. They didn't dare act blindly. "Interesting, the World Clan dares attack the Empty Space Shrine," said Ao Songhai with a smile. Even though only one Peerless Saint was left in the Empty Space Shrine to protect it, they also had allies, and the other shrines might send some Peerless Saints there to help. But now, the World Clan had surrounded the Empty Space Shrine, and considering their faces, the strong cultivators of the World Clan were probably incredibly strong. "Very good," said the Empty Space Shrine's leader. "I never thought the World Clan would reappear and would want to be our enemies. Why are you attacking the Empty Space Shrine?" "I just want to tell you not to think of attacking Lin Feng. Even though we're not the strongest cultivators in the world, we have the means of putting pressure on you and destroying the Empty Space Shrine. At least, we could weaken you and kill many of your people. Imagine what would happen to a weakened Empty Space Shrine?" asked a voice which came from the world coffin. "Our request is simple. Leader, go back with the celestial sealing map." The Empty Space Shrine's leader looked composed, but on the inside he was struggling. He was going crazy. The plan was a total failure. It would be difficult to have another opportunity like this. All their allies who were shrines had agreed to help this time. Today, Lin Feng is definitely going to die. I don't think the Empty Space Shrine's leader should give up. Someone appeared, and around him, the space froze. It was a Peerless Saint of the Ice and Snow Shrine. 3 shrines, the Empty Space Shrine, the Fire Shrine, and the Ice and Snow Shrine. Lin Feng looked at them, wondering which shrines wanted to kill him apart from them. Indeed, if the Empty Space Shrine's leader attacks Lin Feng, he might die. But if the Empty Space Shrine is weakened and Lin Feng the forbidden person dead, then the Empty Space Shrine won't pose a threat to the Ice and Snow Shrine anymore. "How perfect," said a voice coming from the world coffin. The strong cultivator of the Ice and Snow Shrine said coldly, "Nonsense." He waved his hand, and the space around him froze. However, a dazzling world light emerged from the world coffin and blocked the ice energy. "I don't care. If any shrine tries to help the Empty Space Shrine kill Lin Feng, we will destroy them," said the Peerless Bestial Saint next to Lin Feng, releasing a terrifying chi. He looked like a god. "I'll tell you one thing. Last time, the godly grave was opened and everybody came out because the historical remains of the godly grave appeared. The historical remains were a god's legacy. I am one of the protectors, a Demapala, and Lin Feng is the god's heir. If you want to see how powerful a god's entourage is, give it a try," roared the Bestial Saint extremely loudly. Many people trembled. A god's heir? And the Peerless Bestial Saint was one of the protectors, a Demapala? How scary, impressive, and majestic. Chapter 2454, Shrine's Agreement. The forbidden person is now confirmed. When the shrines heard the Bestial Saint, They were convinced Lin Feng was a legendary forbidden person. He might become a god. Now the godly grave had disappeared because of him. What would happen if a god appeared in the world? Now, the forbidden person was a god's heir, extremely bad news for the shrines. But if the empty space shrine attacked Lin Feng, the peerless bestial saint, the world clan, ordinary and Sa Lung the supreme cultivators, and the fortune shrine would all destroy the empty space shrine. They would do all they could to protect Lin Feng. They had set high hopes on him. Empty space shrine's leader, think carefully. Don't do anything risky because other people want you to, said the voice coming from the world coffin. The empty space shrine's leader glanced at the peerless saints of the fire and the ice and snow shrines. He was trying to think of a solution. A few big shrines got involved today. If we give up, the shrines won't be happy. If the empty space shrine continues, we will be destroyed. Therefore, I'd like to come to an agreement with everybody. What do you think? The empty space shrine's leader asked the peerless bestial saint slowly. What agreement? Asked the peerless bestial saint, rather surprised. First, no rush. I contacted the strong cultivators of the fortune shrine already. I asked them to come to talk. Besides, the fortune shrine also wants to come to an agreement, said the empty space shrine's leader. He wanted to wait for the fortune shrine's cultivators. The peerless bestial saint was surprised. Was the empty space shrine's leader trying to waste time because he had contacted more strong cultivators from their alliance? Don't worry. If anything strange happens, the world clan will attack immediately, said the voice from the coffin. The peerless bestial saint nodded. Alright, I'll wait. We'll see what kind of agreement you have to offer. The atmosphere was still oppressive, and people just whispered. The forbidden body? A legendary god's heir? The protector? It had been a very long time since something as incredible had happened in the continent of the 9 clouds. After a long time, some figures appeared in the sky. They were all peerless saints, standing high up in the sky. In ordinary times, people never or seldom saw such cultivators. Today, a whole bunch of them had appeared. The fortune shrine's leader was there, too, holding the scepter of destiny. When he saw Lin Feng was safe, he was relieved and said, Empty space shrine's leader, you can talk. Today, the shrines are unwilling to let Lin Feng off. The empty space shrine would like to come up with an agreement. We forget about what happened today, and in 1 year, we all come to Fortune City and we solve the issue. What does everybody think? The empty space shrine's leader asked the crowd calmly. He wanted everybody to bear the responsibility for what was happening. The members of the Fortune Shrine didn't look happy when he said he wanted everybody to come to Fortune City. If the strongest cultivators of the shrines gathered at Fortune City, it would be extremely dangerous for the Fortune Shrine. Was the empty space shrine's leader trying to find a strategy to destroy the Fortune Shrine? And then, inquired the Fortune Shrine's leader coldly. The battles today all happened because of Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng just watched. I think he should solve the issue himself. He should be fighting. On the day of the agreement, all the shrines can select a high-level saint who will fight against Lin Feng in a battle to death. If we win, Lin Feng will be dead, and if you still try to protect Lin Feng, we'll have no choice but to destroy the Fortune Shrine. Ridiculous. 1 year. How ridiculous, said the Fortune Shrine's leader coldly. He had faith in Lin Feng's talent, but 1 year was nothing. How could he fight in 1 year? If the shrines selected strong cultivators, they'd choose people who controlled several sorts of original strengths at the maximum level, terrifyingly strong high-level saints. The difference between high-level saints could be much more incredible than between high-level saints and low-level saints. Someone who understood one sort of original strength at the maximum level was a high-level saint. Someone who understood several sorts of original strengths at the maximum level was also a high-level saint, and someone who understands several sorts of original strengths at the maximum level and could make them fuse was also a high-level saint. Of course, there could incredible differences between peerless saints too. It depended on which kind of original strengths they fused. It was impossible to assess the strength of a peerless saint before having seen them battle. Therefore, 1 year was ridiculous. It was too short. Not to mention you said you wanted to gather in our city. If anything happens, the Fortune Shrine will be destroyed. You don't have a choice. You either give up Lin Feng and you leave, we won't do anything to you if you do, or you accept. If Lin Feng doesn't die, we'll gather in the Fortune Shrine, said the Empty Space Shrine's leader firmly. The crowd understood that the Empty Space Shrine's leader really wanted Lin Feng to die. He also wanted to destroy the Fortune Shrine, and he didn't need to act alone because he had support. If you don't trust me, you can invite all the shrines when the time comes. If Lin Feng dies, then the Fortune Shrine will have nothing to fear anymore. If he doesn't, the Fortune Shrine will get destroyed. You can choose, said the Empty Space Shrine's leader slyly. If Lin Feng was defeated, Ordinary and the others would probably protect Lin Feng and take him away. That way, the Fortune Shrine would definitely get destroyed. If the Fortune Shrine didn't want to get destroyed, they had to let Lin Feng die. He didn't need to worry about the protectors and the others on Lin Feng's side, because if all the shrines of their alliance gathered in Fortune Shrine, at least it would prove they did it with good reason, and they had the advantage in terms of strength. He was convinced that his opponents would make the right decision. When in danger, it was better to be selfish. The Empty Space Shrine was convinced that the situation would be perfect for them a year later. For the time being, they couldn't kill Lin Feng. Another possibility was if Lin Feng didn't show up, things would be even easier. They would immediately destroy the Fortune Shrine, and then Lin Feng wouldn't need to show up again. What if Lin Feng wins? Asked the Peerless Bestial Saint. If Lin Feng wins, we will all disperse, said the Empty Space Shrine's leader. And then you'll be able to continue chasing Lin Feng. No matter if Lin Feng wins or loses, for you, everything will remain perfect. If he dies, it's justified. If he wins, you'll find an excuse to destroy the Fortune Shrine, and then you'll chase Lin Feng and kill him, said the Peerless Bestial Saint coldly. Don't be so pessimistic. You saw what happened today. The shrines won't easily give up, said the Empty Space Shrine's leader coldly. Hee, that agreement is all right. I can invite some extremely strong cultivators of the supreme animal world to come and watch. They can also act as referees. What do you think, Empty Space Shrine's leader? Said Ao Songhai smiling. The Empty Space Shrine's leader was surprised and said, If our dear friends from the supreme animal world agree, no problem. But 1 year is too short. In 1 year, low-level saints should fight against Lin Feng. To fight against stronger cultivators, you need to wait for at least 50 years, said Ao Songhai indifferently. No. You saw how quickly he progresses. He has a forbidden body. 50 years is too short. I'm sure nobody would agree. 20 years then. You know it's already short, said the Peerless Bestial Saint. 3 years, that's all we can propose, said the Empty Space Shrine's leader coldly. 3 years is too short, said the Peerless Bestial Saint, shaking his head. If the old ox helped, 20 years would be good for Lin Feng. He'd have time to study several sorts of original strengths. But with only 3 years, even if the old ox helped, it was still too short. It was difficult to understand one kind of original strength at the maximum level already. Lin Feng needed to fuse some original strengths together to at least stand a chance against his opponents. He needed to fuse at least 4 original strengths together. The shrines would definitely choose extremely strong opponents to fight against him. I have requirements as well, said the Fortune Shrine's leader. The crowd turned to him. 3 years is too short. Agreeing would come down to killing Lin Feng right now. And we can't put all the pressure on Lin Feng, either. If you want us to agree on 3 years, we need to organize other battles. 3 battles. Lin Feng can do the one at the level of high-level saints, but we also need to organize battles for half-saints and low-level saints, said the Fortune Shrine's leader. The geniuses of the previous meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds were probably good choices to battle. The Empty Space Shrine's leader looked at him. He couldn't trust the Fortune Shrine entirely since the members of the Fortune Shrine had some techniques which made their intuition better and helped them guess what could happen in the future. 5 battles. A high-level, low-level, halves, 2 more battles and 2 years, said the Empty Space Shrine's leader indifferently. 5 battles. He knew that the Fortune Shrine was alone, and the number and strength of the cultivators they could select was limited. 2 years. The Fortune Shrine's leader pulled a long face. 2 years was nothing for them, it was way too short. Lin Feng didn't stand a chance that way unless they won 3 other battles. Chu Chun Chiu, Kong Ming, Zhou Rong Man, and Ho Qing Lin could be the 4 others. Will the lights of destiny illuminate their bodies? Whispered the Fortune Shrine's leader. He closed his eyes, seeing a beam of light illuminate the darkness. I accept, said the Fortune Shrine's leader. He agreed even though the agreement wasn't fair at all. Chapter 2455. Plan. The Fortune Shrine had accepted the agreement. The Peerless Bestial Saint could only sigh. 2 years was nothing. Even if Lin Feng was talented, he wouldn't stand a chance at all. The Peerless Bestial Saint had seen many high-level saints in his life, and he knew the differences between them could be gigantic. The Empty Space Shrine's leader left with the Celestial Sealing Map. All the shrine's members left Diyu City. Diyu City had been destroyed by all the battles. There were ruins everywhere. The strong cultivators hadn't fought to the extreme, otherwise it would have been completely destroyed. Lin Feng, are you coming back to the Fortune Shrine with us? The Fortune Shrine's leader to Lin Feng. The shrines had put aside all considerations for face, but Lin Feng's safety wasn't ensured. Yes, let's go back, said Lin Feng, nodding. Then he turned around and looked at the crowd. We also need a place to stay, said Ordinary, smiling indifferently. Brothers, come to Fortune City, said Lin Feng. Ordinary and Sa Leng had offended the other shrines to protect him. They might try to kill them if they stayed in Diyu City. Lin Feng is right. Come to the Fortune Shrine, dear friends, please be our guests, said the Fortune Shrine's leader. Since it's that way, thank you for your hospitality, Ordinary smiled. Going to the Fortune Shrine was a good idea. The group of people flew up and left. Ao Songhai also went with them, but not because he was afraid of the shrines. They wouldn't dare offend the powerful dragon clan of the supreme animal world. After they left, Diyu City calmed down again. However, it was still damaged because of the battles. The news of what had happened in Diyu City spread everywhere in the continent of the 9 clouds. Many people couldn't wait to see the battles 2 years later. All the shrines would gather in Fortune Shrine. There would be magnificent and grandiose fights. The Fortune Shrine, the Fire Shrine, and the Empty Space Shrine forgot about invading and taking control of Diyu City. The battles 2 years later would be more important than taking control over cities. They would determine the fate of several shrines. Lin Feng was seated cross-legged in Fortune City, inside the Star World. The Peerless Bestial Saint had gone back too. He was at the top of his mountain, not far from Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, Master, thank you for protecting me. Don't take what I said too seriously. For us, it doesn't matter whom we protect. If you're too weak, the old ox can find a new master for the Star World. I just said that to scare them. The 2 others wouldn't necessarily help you, said the Peerless Bestial Saint in a calm way, and then he closed his eyes. It was like he had completely changed. I understand, said Lin Feng, smiling and bowing before the Peerless Bestial Saint. He withdrew. The old ox at his side remained silent. Master Ox, can you help me save time during the next 2 years? Said Lin Feng. 2 years was indeed too short. He didn't know what kind of enemies he'd have to face, but they would definitely be extraordinarily strong. I will do my best, but in such a short time you won't be able to progress that much. Get ready to be defeated in 2 years, said the old ox indifferently. He wasn't afraid of shocking Lin Feng or putting pressure on him. Even if Lin Feng had 10 or 50 years, it would be unlikely for him to break through. Maybe. I'll do my best anyway, replied Lin Feng. The old ox didn't say much and continued walking. I'm off. I need to sort some things out, and then I'll come back and meditate in seclusion. When I come back, thanks for helping me with time, said Lin Feng, and then he left the Star World. Ordinary and Sa Leng were watching Lin Feng. Ordinary smiled and said, What a strange world. You can hide inside. I never thought the world we were stuck in for so long would look so tiny, said Ordinary, pointing at the prayer mat. Lin Feng smiled and replied, Brother Ordinary, it's only the historical remains of the godly grave. You were not stuck in there. It's a god's world. Do you want to go and see? It's all right. I'm afraid that if I go in, I won't be able to come back out, said Ordinary, smiling. Then he asked, Lin Feng, Isn't there a Peerless Saint's weapon, like the celestial sealing map, in the God's world? Sa Leng's eyes twinkled. If they had such weapons, the shrines wouldn't act recklessly. They would be able to fight against the shrine's leaders who had incredible weapons. Without incredible weapons, the shrine's leaders might be able to kill them. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. Are there Peerless Saint's weapons, though? Asked Ordinary. His eyes were still twinkling. Brother Ordinary, there must be Peerless Saint's weapons, but because I'm too weak, I can't access the room in which they are held. I guess I can only get high-level Saint's weapons, which are useless to you, Lin Feng told him. What? You don't even have access to all the rooms if you're not strong enough? How annoying. Ordinary protested. I believe that they don't want me to obtain such weapons if I'm too weak, otherwise people could kill me and take them from me. So, the stronger I am, the less chances I have to get killed, Lin Feng explained. Right? The god anticipated any kind of situation, Ordinary nodded. So, what are you going to do during those 2 years? I want to meditate in seclusion for a year and see if I can become stronger, replied Lin Feng. Alright. Good, if there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me. Definitely, said Lin Feng smiled. Lin Feng, called out someone. Lin Feng turned his head and saw the diviner. Teacher, shouted Lin Feng. The diviner landed on the ground, nodding at Ordinary and Sa Leng. Lin Feng, I was scared to death. It gave me chills. I didn't think the shrines would send such terrifying cultivators to fight against you. I'm sorry. If you died, it would have been my fault, said the diviner. Lin Feng shook his head. I was too careless. My true identity was uncovered, it had nothing to do with you. Anyway, let's forget about it. The shrines only gave you 2 years. The battle will be extremely complicated for you. The shrine is trying to find people to fight the 4 other battles. Come with me, said the diviner, leaving with Lin Feng. They arrived in the depths of the shrine. All the high-level saints of the shrine were gathered there. Lin Feng, you became a core disciple of the Fortune Shrine because you're extremely strong, but you haven't had the opportunity to meet the other core disciples. Today you can meet them, said the diviner, taking Lin Feng in front of a crowd. The shrine's leader looked at Lin Feng and said, Lin Feng, we started calling disciples and telling them to come back, including the ones who participated in the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds back in the days with you. They all might be selected to fight in 2 years. Anyone you would like to recommend? I can't recommend anyone unless I know how strong they are. Ho Qing Lin can defeat anyone at the same cultivation level as him, though, said Lin Feng. With his reincarnation strength, Ho Qing Lin could indeed defeat most people at the same cultivation level. Ho Qing Lin is quite strong, but he doesn't have enough trump cards and he hasn't been a saint for a long time. I don't know how powerful his reincarnation strength will be in 2 years, said the Fortune Shrine's leader, looking at the reincarnation priest. 2 years is too short. The enemies will only select geniuses amongst geniuses. We have to fight the strongest fighters. Lin Feng, you will probably lose your battle, said the reincarnation priest. He didn't underestimate Lin Feng, but 2 years were just nothing. Even 50 years weren't enough in their opinion. A high-level saint sometimes needed hundreds of thousands, or even millions of years, to break through. In 1 year, I will organize a competition in the Fortune Shrine. The strongest ones will be chosen. At the same time, we need to contact some shrines and establish good relations to them, including the supreme animal world, said another Peerless Saint. The crowd nodded. They were in a hurry. Those battles would be extremely important, but they knew they wouldn't win all of them, or at least, that was very unlikely. Yes, we'll need to go to the supreme animal world and to the shrines, said the shrine's leader. I'll go, said the diviner. The leader smiled. Mardeva, now that your 2 bodies have fused together again, I'm not worried about you, you're strong enough. You've been managing the shrine's internal affairs for so many years, so yes, you're a perfect candidate for this task. Alright, I'm going. Lin Feng, I'll take you to your old friend, said the diviner. Lin Feng left with him. They quickly landed at a big palace. Lin Feng saw someone walking towards him. Ha, little boy. I never thought you'd become so famous. No wonder you're stronger, with a teacher like me. said the old Taoist priest, smiling and walking towards them. Then he continued, looking ferocious, I've heard that you have killed many saints. Perfect, I'm doing research about weapons, show me some. Chapter 2456. Pressure. Lin Feng looked at the old Taoist priest speechlessly. That guy was still saying Lin Feng had become so famous and strong thanks to him. Lin Feng took out some saint's weapons and gave them to the old Taoist priest. Old buddy, take them. You're a saint now, what do you intend to do? Hee hee. The old Taoist priest just laughed and took the saint's weapons impolitely. He said, I'm a powerful saint now, so you're finally nice. These saints' weapons are perfect, they will allow me to help the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan rise again. When the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan stands at the top of the vast celestial ancient city and becomes the first powerful group there, I will travel around the world and go to other worlds. I want to see what's different in other worlds. Alright, good. The Celestial Evolution Holy Clan is important to you, so it's normal you want to make it rise, said Lin Feng. Even though Yan Di had never said he was worried about the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan or he wanted it to come back to life, Lin Feng knew how important it was to him. Now he was strong enough to make the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan stand at the top of the vast celestial ancient city, which was only a city in the lower world. Alright, I waited here because I wanted to see you, I'm off now, Yan Di smiled. Lin Feng was surprised. Why the rush? You want to chat longer? Asked Yan Di, smiling and turning around casually. We're walking on different paths now, we can't stay together the whole time, and the past already seems like a dream. If you have time, come to vast celestial ancient city to see me, my friend. He disappeared into the distance. Lin Feng just sighed. Indeed, it felt like a dream. Now, the old Taoist priest couldn't help him anymore, so he just left and went off to help his clan rise. Old buddy, I hope you will never die. If you need anything, feel free to ask me, shouted Lin Feng running forwards. Don't worry, I don't mind asking you for help when I'm in need, laughed a distant voice. Lin Feng smiled. He turned to the diviner and said, Teacher, I'm going. The diviner nodded, and Lin Feng left. The diviner raised his head and rose up in the air. Lin Feng wanted to meditate in seclusion to get ready for the battles in 2 years. He also had things to do. He had to travel the world to meet people and get ready for the battles. The 5 fighters wouldn't be the only ones involved. Time passes without anyone noticing it when everything is fine, but when you have problems, it seems like you never have enough time. During those days, Lin Feng practiced cultivation like a madman. He didn't take any break. Sometimes, he thought about his family and it gave him strength. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. In the star world, Lin Feng was fighting against the golden ape, the space trembling around them. The golden ape raised his hand, and the sky became dark. He tried to catch Lin Feng, but Lin Feng could sense the earth pulsing as if it were his own body. He moved so fast it was like he was teleporting. Earth burial, shouted the golden ape. The ground under Lin Feng's feet rose up, trying to bury him. Lin Feng turned into empty space chi again and disappeared. His opponent's attacks couldn't reach him. Not bad, you're able to dodge my attacks now. You're not wasting your time, the golden ape said as he stopped attacking. But it's still not enough. Your opponents will probably control several sorts of original strengths. You're too weak. Your attacks are also too weak, said the golden ape. He attacked Lin Feng again. My earth and empty space strengths are now at the maximum level. I also use wind and fast strength to move faster, but it's not enough, thought Lin Feng, annoyed. Not bad, when one of your original strengths reached the maximum level, you're already equal to a high-level saint. Most people need over 10,000 years to do that. Some people never even manage to break through. I helped you modify time, so in here, 10 years have passed and you already have 2 original strengths at the maximum level, said the old ox patiently from where he was watching. But it's still not enough. You're definitely going to lose. What if I fuse original strengths together first? Said Lin Feng, asked the old ox. Fusing original strengths together is even more difficult than understanding an original strength at the maximum level. There are limits. If you only practice cultivation here, Your progress will be limited too, said the old ox. If you really want to try and fight against those three. Imagine that they will be your opponents in a year, said the old ox, pointing at the last 3 bestial saints. The 6 others had already fought against Lin Feng many times. However, of those 3, only 2 had already tried and fight against Lin Feng, but they hadn't taken it seriously. The last one had never fought against Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the last one. He was probably the strongest of all. According to the old ox, those 3 were as strong as the enemies he was going to fight a year from now. If I win against him, does it mean I'll be able to defeat my opponent? Said Lin Feng to the old ox. If you can defeat him, you will be fine. But I don't advise you to try for now because he has a really bad temper, said the old ox seriously. Lin Feng looked at him and walked forwards. The others looked at him excitedly. Lin Feng then moved as fast as lightning. He raised his finger which pierced through space towards the bestial saint. The bestial saint suddenly opened his eyes, which were pitch black, like those of a demon. The air crackled as the bestial saint moved, and an aggressive chi filled the air. Lin Feng was nervous and felt oppressed. The bestial saint raised his fist and an aggressive chi smashed into Lin Feng's body. He crashed onto the ground and a crater appeared around him. He had the impression his organs were going to explode. Lin Feng abruptly stopped moving forwards, disappearing and reappearing somewhere else. However, the space contracted as an incredible chi invaded it. Lin Feng had the impression he was being born. It was an incredible sensation. He felt tiny and at the same time he had the impression he was on the verge of collapse. Lin Feng groaned with pain. He was struck violently and hurled backwards. He felt extremely unwell. The bestial saint glanced at him indifferently and closed his eyes again. He looked calm and composed again as if nothing had just happened. Demon, earth, and illusion original strengths at the maximum level. Lin Feng was astonished. That bestial saint could be described using only one word: aggressive. The difference between him and all the others was gigantic. You sense those few not bad. But he only used a little bit of strength. He could actually kill you instantly if he wants to, said the old ox indifferently. Lin Feng's body already felt sore. That bestial saint had probably practiced for tens of thousands of years. He had an advanced knowledge of original strength. Lin Feng, you can't even force us to use fused original strengths yet, said the golden ape. Lin Feng nodded. When they used a fusion of original strengths, their attacks were overwhelming. Back then, the golden ape had killed a high-level saint extremely easily, and the last bestial saint could easily kill the golden ape. I'm going out, said Lin Feng, and then he left. He arrived in his own spirit's world. Meng Qing was in the empire of Shuiyu with his family members. Lin Feng wanted to rest for a few days. He had practiced like a madman for a while. Maybe taking a rest and some nice moments would be helpful. In the outside world, the shrines continued competing over territories and so on. The diviner had been to the supreme animal world and was now back with some news. Chapter 2457, Godly Phoenix Clan in the Fortune Shrine. A group of people was seated cross-legged in a starry place. The diviner was present. The shrine's leader's eyes were closed. He was moving his fingers. Starlight illuminated him. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and looked at the stars. He looked surprised and asked, Maradeva, which clan has an incredible genius in the supreme animal world? The Godly Phoenix Clan, said the diviner. He initially wanted to tell the leader about it, but it seemed like the leader had already guessed it. After the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds, the destiny wheel rotated and our stars are now different. There are many destiny lights I can't understand anymore. The Fortune Shrine's leader sighed. Leader, you already saw that an incredible genius had appeared in the supreme animal world. That's already very rare, and divination is not easy, responded the diviner. How's the genius of the Godly Phoenix Clan? Asked the shrine's leader. She was in a forbidden territory, in the mythological animal mausoleum. She was acknowledged by a god. She's been named the goddess, replied the diviner. Goddess? Things are getting more and more interesting. The forbidden territories are mysterious places. And in times of chaos, many incredible geniuses rise. Lin Feng was acknowledged by a god in the godly grave. Chu Chun Chiu came out of the supreme ancient pit of hell alive, and has changed too, murmured the shrine's leader. Anything else? Some strong cultivators are joining hands and forming alliances in the continent of the 9 clouds. Some of them want to become shrines, said the diviner. That's normal, said the shrine's leader calmly. Anything about the battles in 1 year? The shrine's situation hasn't changed. The Hell Shrine doesn't get involved in the affairs of the continent of the 9 clouds. The Life Shrine doesn't like to fight. The Light Shrine still doesn't seem to exist. The Soul Shrine manages things smoothly and tactfully. The Thunder Shrine won't get involved. The Celestial Sound Shrine and the Earth Shrine hope the Fortune Shrine won't get destroyed. Apart from them, the Fire, Ice and Frost, Dazzling, Empty Space, Wind, and Demon Shrines all want to destroy us, said the diviner dispiritedly. Not bad. Back then, 10 shrines expressed themselves. Now there are 4 more shrines, said the Fortune Shrine's leader, smiling. The Soul Shrine and the Thunder Shrine care only about themselves. The Celestial Sound Shrine and the Earth Shrine are scared because they are quite weak compared to all the other shrines, and now seeing us on the verge of collapse, they're even more worried they could become like us. That's why they support us. If we become stronger, they will become stronger. The Light Shrine doesn't seem to exist. It's a difficult situation for us, said the diviner. The 15 shrines had been able to live together in harmony for such a long time, it was already a miracle. The Fire, Ice and Frost, Empty Space, Dazzling and Wind shrines are not the strongest shrines, especially the Wind and Dazzling Gold shrines. What do they want to do? Asked the shrine's leader coldly. Who knows? All the shrines have their own plans. Only they can know what their real plans are, the diviner sighed. What about the supreme animal world? Asked the shrine's leader. The Dragon Clan agreed to come. The Rock Clan will come too, but the Rock Clan won't necessarily come in peace. The Unicorn Clan will come too. I don't know what they want. Same for the Godly Phoenix Clan. I think Lin Feng should go to the supreme animal world, said the diviner. The shrine's leader was surprised. Interesting. Don't tell anyone about that, said the shrine's leader. I know. The Godly Phoenix Shrine agreed too, replied the diviner. Maybe they want to see who's better, Lin Feng who has a forbidden body, or their goddess who will become a real god. When the shrine's leader heard the diviner, he smiled and said, Interesting, I'll go and ask Lin Feng directly. All right, said the diviner, before he left. The other people who were still seated cross-legged remained behind. A Peerless saint asked, Leader, what do you think about the goddess? I'm not sure. In times of chaos, anything is possible. Maybe other gods and goddesses will appear in the future. It's getting cloudy, and the clouds prevent us from looking at the stars. The shrine's leader raised his head and looked at the sky. The stars were dazzling. There were no clouds. What did he mean? The diviner went to Lin Feng and asked him what he thought. Lin Feng was surprised. He hadn't thought the Godly Phoenix Clan would want to see him. Is it urgent? Asked Lin Feng. I don't think so. You don't need to go if you don't feel like it. I am just curious to know what the Godly Phoenix Clan thinks. The diviner smiled. Let's go then. If I could make friends with them, it could be useful in a year, said Lin Feng. The Fortune Shrine didn't have many allies. They needed to form a good alliance. If it was possible, it would be great. Lin Feng headed back to the supreme animal world. The previous time he had been there, it was to go to the supreme ancient pit of hell. This time, only the diviner went with him. The Godly Phoenix Clan was in the Phoenix Valley of the supreme animal world. The valley had the shape of a phoenix from the sky. The buildings there didn't look as luxurious as those in the human world. They were simple but still looked beautiful. Lin Feng was facing a beautiful palace dozens of meters tall, containing an incredible qi. Many people were waiting outside, watching Lin Feng and the diviner. Their eyes looked sharp, especially the eyes of some young people in the crowd. Lin Feng, you're here too, exclaimed someone, laughing wholeheartedly at that moment. Lin Feng glanced over and saw Ao Songhai. Brother Ao, what are you doing here? Asked Lin Feng curiously. You ask even though you already know the answer, said Ao Songhai smiling at Lin Feng. After what happened in Diyu City, many things happened in the animal world as well. During this year, someone who might be as incredible as you emerged in the supreme animal world in the godly Phoenix clan. He's Lin Feng. Many people looked at Lin Feng sharply. After what had happened in Diyu City, Lin Feng had become even more famous in the supreme animal world, because many peerless saints had gotten involved just because of him. Maybe the forbidden body is nothing much, people just exaggerate as time passes, said someone coldly. There were two people there, one who Lin Feng had already seen before. It was Zhong Gan, who had chased him in the past. He was extremely strong, a great oriental greenfinch rock. There was someone else next to him, who much younger than him. Of course, it was impossible to determine someone's age from their appearance. "Father!" exclaimed someone happily. It was Alma. He jumped over next to Lin Feng and Lin Feng clapped his shoulders in greeting. "Father, I've heard about your awesome adventures in Diyu City. Too bad I wasn't there," said Alma excitedly. "I almost got killed." "Is that an awesome adventure?" protested Lin Feng, while shaking his head and smiling. Even though peerless cultivators had fought because of him, Lin Feng didn't feel like it was a glorious thing. He had almost been killed. They like to bully weaker people. How could peerless saints try and do anything to you? A few decades ago, you were just a half-saint, and now you're still progressing at the speed of light, said Alma, glancing at Zhong Gan impolitely. The Dragon Clan and the Rock Clan weren't friends. Zhong Gan grunted coldly. He knew that Alma was right, but he was a supernatural bird. He couldn't submit. He was too proud. Besides, beasts were proud in general and showed their emotions openly. Cultivation speed doesn't prove anything. Maybe the forbidden body is not that powerful, said Zhong Gan. Lin Feng ignored him. He looked at the saints around. They were from the most incredible bestial clans, the most outstanding cultivators of the supreme animal world. The majority of beasts preferred the goddess since she was also from the supreme animal world. They also knew how terrifying the mythological animal mausoleum was. "So you're the forbidden person," said someone, slowly walking towards Lin Feng. His eyes were filled with flames. "It's him," noted the diviner. He smiled sharply and said, "You don't look as sharp as before." Chapter 2458. Fighting against a godly beast. The diviner smiled and said, "Beasts and humans are different. You all look sharp. Humans are not like that. But it doesn't mean we're weaker. Mardeva, many years ago you were famous. We know that. Lin Feng is different from you. He's very young, not even 100 years old yet. He has a forbidden body, and now he's so strong he should be sharp-looking." Meaningless, the diviner smiled dismissively. The godly Phoenix clan wanted to see Lin Feng. Was it to make such useless statements? Anyway, you're our guests. The godly Phoenix clan is interested in the forbidden body. Even if he's not sharp-looking, it doesn't change anything. We like Lin Feng. Now that we have a goddess in our clan, maybe it's the will of heaven. That person smiled. He turned and said as he left, "By the way, find any place you like to stay as long as it belongs to nobody." People were stupefied. Lin Feng frowned. Many people were looking at him sharply. Lin Feng understood what Ao Songhai had told him. The goddess of the godly Phoenix clan was outstanding. Now they had organized a meeting there. What was the purpose? What that person had just said was just to make Lin Feng look less impressive in front of the crowd. "Teacher, what is that supposed to mean?" asked Lin Feng to the diviner telepathically. "I don't know. Last time I came, many people were here. They had never seen the goddess, so they wanted to see her. Now that you are here, the Phoenix Valley is probably doing that to provoke people. Maybe they want to see how strong you are and how strong your physical body makes you. They want to compare you with the goddess. But you're very young, and one of your original strengths just reached the maximum level," replied the diviner. He was annoyed too. He didn't know what they wanted. Ao Songhai looked at Lin Feng with a smile that wasn't a smile and tapped his shoulder. He said telepathically, "Even those people understand, they won't give you face." "I understand," replied Lin Feng. "Teacher, let's find a place to rest." "All right," said the diviner nodding. Slow down, said someone at that moment. Lin Feng turned around and looked at the young man next to Zhonggan. His qi looked extremely sharp. A king qi emerged from his body and oppressed Lin Feng. Dirty little birds are annoying, said Ao Songhai with a smile. The young man looked at him and said coldly, Ao Songhai, you often open your filthy mouth. You haven't fought for so many years, let's see how strong the fourth prince of the dragon clan is. Anytime, Zhong Lin, replied Ao Songhai airily. I'll go and fight against him, said Zhonggan sharply. They still hadn't settled accounts for their previous battle. He wanted to fight Ao Songhai. Since you all want to fight, let's have some fun, said Ao Songhai coldly. He rose up in the air. The beasts around all looked bloodthirsty and excited because fights were going to happen. A big battle was going to happen. Ao Songhai was very provocative today. Go! Zhonggan and Zhong Lin's figures flickered. They both moved. Two golden beams of light streaked across the sky. No wonder they were the best beasts in terms of speed. Those rock clan members are incredibly fast, murmured the diviner. He also flew up into the air. Speed is useless. Dragons like their food well roasted, said Alma. His eyes twinkled. The beasts all looked proud. Some figures flew into the sky above the Phoenix Valley. The air began to hum. Some people also passed nearby, but didn't seem to care. Very quickly, the group of cultivators landed at the top of a mountain. Who wants to fight first? Asked Ao Songhai, pointing at Zhonggan and Zhong Lin coldly. Me, said Zhonggan. He started flying forwards, but Zhong Lin said, not you. Ao Songhai is proud, but he's really strong. I've heard that he can control several sorts of original strengths at the maximum level, and he also controls the dragon's strength. He's much more difficult to defeat than a human being. I'll go. Zhong Lin was a great oriental greenfinch rock, too. He wasn't any more polite than Zhonggan. Beasts are really arrogant, but they're stronger than human beings, so it's an advantage, thought Lin Feng. Even Alma had some incredible techniques. Lin Feng had read a book about beasts' techniques. Beasts from godly beast clans were much stronger than ordinary beasts and humans. Teacher, can you recognize all the beasts? Lin Feng asked the diviner telepathically. Many people were watching. All of them had an enigmatic and unfathomable qi. If a human's life qi could be compared with a lake, theirs could be compared with furious oceans. Godly beast's blood was extremely precious. Godly dragon clan, rock clan, you already know those two. The godly phoenix clan. The middle-aged man there is from the unicorn clan. The one there who looks like a child is from the godly turtle clan, but they call themselves tortoise clan. The one there with the gloomy qi, can you guess? Asked the diviner. Yes, that young man's qi looks ominous indeed. He looks poisonous, said Lin Feng. He's a legendary flying snake. His wings contain a cold, gloomy qi. Legendary flying snakes are very dangerous, said the diviner. Lin Feng nodded. At that moment, the legendary flying snake almost seemed to have heard them even though they were talking telepathically. He instantly looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't feel well. None of them can be underestimated, thought Lin Feng. The one who looked like a child looked sleazy and nonchalant and surprisingly was from the tortoise clan. The worst was that when someone looked like a child like that, they were usually fake if they were incredibly strong, and were usually quite old. Will they cast greedy eyes on the goddess? Asked Lin Feng. He was curious. The legendary flying snake and the one who looked like a child looked inappropriate. Nobody cares about age in the cultivation world, all people care about is strength. Nobody knows what they want to do to her, replied the diviner with a hard smile. Ao Songhai and Zhong Lin were having a fierce battle. Zhong Lin understood wind, empty space, and gold strengths at the maximum level. His speed was explosive. Trails appeared in the sky behind him when he was flying. Lin Feng couldn't even follow him with his eyes. Ao Songhai stood steadily like a mountain. His punches looked simple, but they were incredible and made the space tremble each time, their power terrifying. The great oriental greenfinch rock didn't seem to have any flaw though, and his attacks were all incredible as well. Filthy little birds only know how to rely on speed to attack by surprise, that's all. Insolent, said Zongan. He grunted coldly, dazzling golden claws which looked like swords streaked across the sky. Lin Feng looked at him coldly. Rumbling and explosion sounds spread in the air. The sword lights dispersed. Come here, said Zongan, pointing at Lin Feng. He wanted to fight. Lin Feng flashed forwards. He also wanted to see how strong godly beasts were. Even though godly beasts had inherent talent and abilities, at a certain cultivation level, those things didn't matter as much anymore. The 9 bestial saints he had in his star world were incredibly strong, but they weren't necessarily godly beasts. Lin Feng heard a subtle sound. Zongan moved and almost disappeared. However, Lin Feng didn't hesitate to attack. He used Earth original strength and could sense the pulsations of the Earth, so he knew right where his opponent was. The celestial Tao strength around Lin Feng turned into Earth strength. An ocean of strength appeared in the vault of heaven and the air began to vibrate. The ground trembled. Blood appeared on Zongan's face. Lin Feng's attack was too powerful. He had taken a heavy blow. Chapter 2459. 2 Forbidden Territories. Zongan scratched his head, and lights twinkled. A golden light rotated around him and his injuries healed. However, he was grimacing and staring at Lin Feng. He split into 2 bodies. That was the Rock Clan's cloning technique. The 2 Zongans looked furious and ferocious. Lin Feng stared at him coldly. He was a bit nervous because Zongan's speed was so astonishing, so with 2 of them he was under pressure. The 2 figures disappeared at the same time and shot towards Lin Feng. It was like 2 golden thunderbolts were moving towards him. Heavy strength, shouted Lin Feng coldly. Instantly, the atmosphere became incredibly weighty. Slow, shouted Lin Feng. Everything around him became slower. The golden thunderbolts slowed down greatly. Heavy and slow strengths used together was incredible. A sharp sound spread in the air, and the 2 bodies accelerated. 2 extremely sharp golden claws dove towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng released even more slow strength and some empty space strength. It was like he could teleport as 2 blades flew past his shoulders. Zongan drew closer. Lin Feng raised his fist and threw it out. The space around him trembled. Zongan looked at Lin Feng disdainfully as his claws collided with Lin Feng's fist. A terrifying strength rolled in waves around their hands. Lin Feng sensed a terrifyingly sharp energy on his fist. It was very painful, but it didn't distract him. His fist became flared with light and a vortex appeared around it. Absorbing strength emerged and surrounded his opponent. He wanted to absorb the great oriental greenfinch rock. Corrosion, said Lin Feng coldly. Zongan's chi was being corroded. It was a strange feeling. Lin Feng's absorbing strength was draining his chi. Piss off. Golden lights surrounded Lin Feng. Lin Feng was startled, but empty space stone walls appeared around him and surrounded one of the opponent's bodies. The empty space stone wall broke apart. The other rock looked at him coldly and became even more gigantic, flapping his wings even faster. Lin Feng moved like the wind, withdrawing as fast as he could. Zongan's 2 bodies chased him. Their speed was just astonishing. He was the symbol of speed, the fastest species in the world. Lin Feng released wind strength to surround his body and continued retreating. He could sense the pulsations of the land. His enemy was so fast they could reach him anytime. Fast. Lin Feng released even more fast strength as well as wind strength. Zongan was surprised. Lin Feng's figure flickered. His speed was astonishing. He flew straight past Zongan. Beautiful. Ama was amazed. How incredible. He was surprised by Lin Feng's speed. Zongan was extremely fast, and Lin Feng could dodge his attacks. Zongan immediately attacked the beast who looked like a child, the one behind Lin Feng who was from the Tortoise clan. Piss off, said a gloomy voice. The 2 great oriental greenfinch rocks were stupefied, as he said coldly. Insolent. So you want to fight against me now? Said the tortoise, smiling coldly. Why was Zongan attacking him now? He raised his claws. At that moment, a gigantic shell which was as hard as stone appeared around him. Zongan's claws crashed onto the shell, and nothing happened. Zhonggan wanted to retreat, but the tortoise didn't let him. He released a terrifying qi which constricted Zhonggan and a vortex appeared around him. "I told you to piss off," said the tortoise who looked like a child. Thunder crashed, and Zhonggan's two bodies were blown away at the same time as blood splashed. Original strength fusion. Lin Feng was surprised. That tortoise was extremely strong. On the other side, Ao Songhai and Zhong Lin were still fighting. It was difficult for either of them to win because Ao Songhai's attacks were too powerful and Zhong Lin was too fast. They didn't use any trump cards, however. How beautiful! At that moment, the legendary flying snake saw a phoenix arriving without haste. She was so beautiful and really looked like a goddess. The Phoenix clan's goddess, Goddess Xian. Goddess Xian glanced at the crowd. She looked at Lin Feng for a few seconds and then turned her head. "Why is everybody in our valley? What do you want here?" "Goddess Xian, of course," the legendary flying snake smiled. Even though the others didn't say anything, they agreed. "Is that so? Then come with me," said Goddess Xian calmly. She turned around and walked away. Everybody became silent and followed after Goddess Xian. After a short time, they arrived in front of a teleportation portal, a phoenix portal. "Are we going to the godly beast's mausoleum?" Ao Songhai was startled. Goddess Xian had just shown up, and now she immediately wanted to go to the godly beast's mausoleum? That place wasn't fun. "If you don't want to come, you can leave," Goddess Xian said to the crowd. Lin Feng was delighted. Goddess Xian was funny. She had taken all those beasts there and now she was telling them they could leave if they wanted to. But beasts were proud. How could they leave? "Teacher." Lin Feng looked at the diviner. He didn't know what to say. "I'll wait for you in the Phoenix Valley," the diviner smiled. He had faith in Lin Feng. "All right, I will come back for the agreement. Alma, head back to the Dragon Clan." "No, father, I'm coming with you," said Alma, shaking his head. "This time, I don't want to be away from my father." Lin Feng was surprised and looked at Alma. He slowly nodded and said, "All right, it's the godly beast's mausoleum, so I hope you'll be able to help there." "Let's go," said Goddess Xian. The crowd had a bad premonition. It all felt so sudden. What was Goddess Xian's purpose? Why had she suddenly appeared? Why did she suddenly want to take them to that place? But they still followed her. Lin Feng sensed a wild bestial qi rise up around him. It was powerful. How pleasant. "It's a pure bestial qi," said Alma, taking a deep breath. He felt at home there. This place was even better than the supreme animal world for beasts. According to legends, this place used to be a genuine beast world. Then, something happened and it turned into a mausoleum. "It probably has to do with the ancient war of the continent of the Nine Clouds," said Ao Songhai. Goddess Xian led the way and people closely followed her. Nobody knew where she was taking them. "It's dangerous." Lin Feng had a bad premonition. His intuition told him danger was lurking. A dark energy shot towards them. It looked like qi. "It's death original strength. You can't touch it. It's the purest death original strength in the world. It can corrode our lives and kill us," said Goddess Xian. The crowd moved away in surprise. "Hurry up. We've too many people," said Goddess Xian, making a detour. After a short time, the crowd faced a gigantic place where there was water original strength. The energies in that place were extremely pure. "It makes me want to jump inside." The tortoise and the legendary flying snake looked excited. They wanted to jump in, but Goddess Xian didn't seem like she wanted to stay there and continued walking. She seemed to know the place really well. She had probably been there many times before. It is said that Goddess Xian was acknowledged by a god. It's probably true. She knows the place so well. Even though there are many sorts of original strengths, it doesn't seem to be dangerous. "Yes, she knows the place really well," replied Lin Feng, nodding when he heard Ao Songhai. Finally, they arrived in front of a long illusory corridor. It was Goddess Xian's target destination. That corridor looked like an illusory passage with a mysterious qi. "Lin Feng," said the old ox suddenly. Lin Feng looked astonished and said, "What's the matter, master?" "Lin Feng, I can sense the qi of Ganji's time," said the old ox. Lin Feng stiffened. Weren't they in the bestial mausoleum? Why was there chi from Ganji's time? Chapter 2460. Unforeseen. The mausoleum and Ganji's time were connected, and Goddess Xian knew the place really well. She knew how to avoid danger here, and had successfully led them in front of a bright corridor. I can smell some time determination. Goddess Xian, where are we? Asked someone. The godly beast's mausoleum is inside, said Goddess Xian. The crowd was stupefied. A bestial god was buried in there? Since you've been here before, why do you want to bring us there? Asked the legendary flying snake coldly. He had doubts about Goddess Xian's true intentions. Why did she want to bring them to a beast's grave? It looks like a time corridor, and it seems to be rotating, which means that each time I come here, it's in a different place. It's difficult to find. I fear that if I go inside alone, I won't be able to come back out. Therefore, I want to go inside with everybody, said Goddess Xian. Alma looked at Lin Feng and said, Father, the Phoenix Valley harbors evil intentions. They know you have a forbidden body and that you're lucky, so they invited you to come along. Everyone here is outstanding. They're all from godly beasts clans. We can't be sure of anything, replied Lin Feng. But since we came here, we have to be very careful. All right. Alma nodded. Goddess Xian was already in the corridor. A mysterious strength surrounded everybody as they followed after. The corridor seemed endless. Nobody knew where it led. Many lights passed next to them. Be careful. Don't touch those lights, and don't blame me if you do. I warned you, said Goddess Xian. That place contained a mysterious chi. Master Ox, do you know or sense anything? Asked Lin Feng. It's the corridor of space and time. Be careful, those lights are violent time whirlwinds. Don't touch them, otherwise, anything could happen. In Ganji's time, time is in a state of chaos. You could suddenly end up in a tornado and you would never be able to come out, or maybe you'd come out 1,000 years later, the ox said to Lin Feng. Lin Feng heard some sounds, his heart trembled. Indeed, in a time storm, a cultivator could be stuck in there for 10,000 years and outside it'd be like a few seconds, and the opposite was possible, too. 10,000 years could pass outside while inside, it'd feel like a few seconds. It was a terrifying thing. The group was extremely vigilant. Be careful. There's a time storm. In front of them was a violent windstorm. The crowd looked nervous, moving aside and staying close to the walls. The storm flew past the crowd. They didn't even dare to release chi. Let's continue, said Goddess Xian calmly. She was already used to it. Without realizing it, the crowd walked for 2 days in the corridor. At some point, the corridor split apart into many roads. Goddess Xian, are we going to continue indefinitely without a goal? Asked the tortoise. We can only rely on luck. If we're lucky, we might find some incredible treasures. If we're unlucky, we might get stuck inside forever, said Goddess Xian. The crowd sighed. At that moment, some bright lights flashed past, and tablets appeared. There's someone, said someone suddenly. The crowd realized that there really was someone there. That person was lying on the ground motionless, but they were alive. That person was holding a saint's weapon, an extremely powerful one. The chi which emerged from it shook people's hearts. A peerless saint's weapon. The crowd was amazed. Zonggan flapped his wings. He wanted to take the peerless saint's weapon. Don't take that risk, said Zonglin. I'm all right. I'm so fast, nothing could happen to me, said Zonggan. He then split in two. One of his bodies turned into a rock and flapped his wings, before turning into a beam of light. He raised his claws and reached towards the saint's weapon, and a powerful wind surrounded him. Zonggan tried to move as quickly as possible, but he was suddenly extremely slow. His other body frowned. Oh no, he said. The rock body immediately appeared in the tornado, struggling. Quickly, the time lights took it away. How scary. He couldn't do anything. His other body suddenly turned around and he came back, glaring at Lin Feng coldly. You stole my luck. Zonggan said to Lin Feng coldly. Lin Feng looked at him strangely. Stealing someone's luck? What a strange thing to say. You're ridiculous, said Lin Feng coldly. He couldn't be bothered. They continued walking forwards and discovered many time storms. The crowd saw figures and treasures in the tornadoes, but didn't know what kind of people or treasures were stuck inside. Found it, said Goddess Xian suddenly. She sounded happy. In front of her, some dazzling white lights had appeared. I can get inside thanks to it, said Goddess Xian, pointing at the white lights. The others didn't understand. The first I came here, I was careless and that white light took me somewhere. There, I saw a godly beast's grave. Are you coming? Asked Goddess Xian. Sounds interesting. Let's go, said someone. People followed after her. Everybody, hold hands to go inside so that we don't lose one another. Alone we might die, Goddess Xian smiled. The white lights illuminated her face and made her look even more beautiful. All right. The crowd continued walking forwards. They all wanted to get really close to Goddess Xian. However, Goddess Xian stretched out her hand and held hands with Lin Feng on one side and the tortoise who looked like a child on the other, and smiled at them. Father, Goddess Xian seems to believe you and the tortoise's child are lucky, Alma grinned. Lin Feng walked forwards, holding hands with Goddess Xian and Alma. They entered the white lights at the same time. Suddenly, they started rotating. Time corridor. Lin Feng and the others saw many different landscapes. They were traveling through time. Battles appeared in their field of vision. Figures flickered. It was like they were watching a movie. After that, destructive lights also appeared and passed next to them. It gave them goosebumps. They contained a mysterious qi. No, Lin Feng suddenly shouted furiously. His face was deathly pale. Father, shouted Alma, staring at Lin Feng. Father, what's wrong? No, no, shouted Lin Feng. He was trembling. He let go of Goddess Xian and Alma's hands and jumped forwards. Father! Alma grabbed Lin Feng's hand again. He didn't want to let him go. Lin Feng wanted to get rid of Alma's hand, but Alma firmly held him. Since you want to go, I'll help you out, said someone. Some gigantic wings grabbed Alma and Lin Feng and pushed them. Lin Feng suddenly turned around and saw Zhong gone. He looked at him coldly and then raised his fist. He shouted to Ao Songhai. Take care of Alma. Lin Feng suddenly turned around and jumped away. Alma shouted furiously. Father! The place was extremely dangerous. Maybe Lin Feng would die there. The crowd was astonished. They didn't know what Lin Feng had seen. Lin Feng jumped into the white lights and then walked ahead slowly. Destructive lights kept appearing around him. However, his expression didn't change. He continued walking forwards. Lin Feng, you're crazy, said the old ox. This was Ganji's time. His master had been stuck here for a very long time back in the days. I saw my children inside, replied Lin Feng. He had seen Jitian and Qiongsheng. They were in a tornado, they were together and were in danger. Those two little bastards, they met and now they came to Ganji's time, thought Lin Feng. If Meng Qing and Yu knew this, they would have gone crazy. At least their jade talismans hadn't broken, so Lin Feng knew they were still alive. Chapter 2461. Time difference. Lin Feng continued walking forwards, lights appearing all around him. It was very difficult to move forwards. This world felt empty. How was a place like Ganji's time created? He wondered. He realized how terrifying this place was. It was a world in which time itself was in turmoil. Lin Feng, time is already different in the place where you are. We just don't know how different time here is from time in the outside world, the old ox said to him. Lin Feng sighed and hoped time in here was slower. If time outside was faster, then the date of the agreement would arrive more quickly. Lin Feng had spent a few seconds in a storm a moment before while looking for Jitian and Qiongsheng. He had the impression he had been looking for them for a very long time, but he couldn't find them. He had also tried to contact them, but the jade talismans didn't work here. It was like the link to their godly awareness had been cut off from the talismans. Lin Feng raised his head as a black wind descended from the sky. Lin Feng felt an icy cold, piercing to the bones. He continued walking forwards, having the impression he had lost track of time, and that he had spent a very long time in here. White lights appeared, they looked like water. Lin Feng quickly dodged. However, the white lights became wider and filled the area. Lin Feng pulled a long face and released as much strength as he could, attacking one place in particular. A hole appeared in the white lights and Lin Feng jumped through it. His heart was pounding violently. That place was indeed really dangerous. He suddenly sensed a few original strengths move towards him. He focused on the pulsations of the earth and the sky and closed his eyes. Some water original strength still reached his arm. Steam appeared around his arm as it were burning. It was extremely painful, but he could only grit his teeth. His wound felt numb. That's water original strength. It's so cold, but it feels as if it were burning as well. How painful! Lin Feng released life original strength to heal, and at the same time, he continued walking forwards cautiously. His beard slowly grew out. His clothes were torn. His hair was long and messy. "Master Ox, how much time has passed?" asked Lin Feng. 12 years, replied a voice in Lin Feng's brain. He hoped the fortune shrine was fine. During these years, Lin Feng asked himself why genuine life strength could be that powerful and why the celestial Tao strength they studied couldn't. He was the god of his own world, so he had his own original strength, but was he walking on the right path? What would his future look like? "Lin Feng," said the old ox at that moment. Lin Feng's face stiffened. An exit had appeared in front of him in a hurricane. It was the place where Lin Feng had seen Zetian and Qiong Sheng. "Your 2 children were there. You don't know whether they're dead or alive. Do you really want to go in?" asked the old ox. "What would happen inside?" "Yes," said Lin Feng, heading towards the hole. No matter what would happen inside, Lin Feng had to find Zetian and Qiong Sheng. "I will try with a clone," said Lin Feng. Clones appeared and jumped into the hole. Lin Feng's clones quickly saw what was going on there. It was dangerous, and his ordinary clones had no strength, so they couldn't fight at all there. After a long time, Lin Feng said, "My 2 children are not dead. Maybe they found a safe place. I will open the way with a clone, that way my real body will be safe." Many of his clones jumped into the hole, and Lin Feng followed. Danger lurked all around. A terrifyingly dangerous illusion appeared. However, because his clones scouted the way, Lin Feng was more scared than hurt. After a short time, Lin Feng appeared somewhere else. He looked around in surprise. It was a place with fertile soil, but it was covered with white lights. Lin Feng sensed life everywhere in that fertile soil. There were many people here, and everybody was very strong. "There are small worlds in Ganji's time," he exclaimed to himself. Someone came up to him quickly. He was wearing plain and simple clothes. His hair was messy, but he looked clean. He looked at Lin Feng and said, "A newcomer, how did you get here?" "There was a hole in a hurricane. I jumped in," said Lin Feng. "A few hundreds of years ago, 2 young men did the same." "You're lucky," that person smiled. Lin Feng frowned. 2 young men, hundreds of years before? As expected, time passed, but I didn't realize it. Even though Lin Feng was surprised, he remained calm and asked, "Where are they?" "With Mr. Time, you know them?" "I know them. Please bring me to them," said Lin Feng. "All right, come with me." The man brought Lin Feng to a low-ceilinged hut. An old man and 2 young men were there, chatting. "Zetian, Qiong Sheng," shouted Lin Feng. Their hearts twitched and they raised their heads. When they saw Lin Feng, their eyes became red. "Father!" shouted Zetian and Qiong Sheng at the same time. They rolled up their sleeves and jumped in front of him. "Hundreds of years passed, and finally you're here, father," Zetian sighed. He looked more mature than in the past. Lin Feng was completely astonished by his cultivation level. Zetian had become a high-level saint, just like him. Lin Feng smiled strangely. He had been their father for hundreds of years, but he hadn't spent that much time with them. It felt strange. "Good, you're both alive and safe." Lin Feng was relieved. Zetian had become a high-level saint and Qiong Sheng had become a low-level saint. They were both extremely strong. "You're both going to surpass me in terms of strength." Lin Feng smiled. They both grinned. Zetian explained, "Mr. Time helped us. Without him, we wouldn't be this strong." Lin Feng looked at the ordinary-looking old man, who looked unfathomable and enigmatic. It was impossible to see how strong he was. Lin Feng walked towards him and bowed. I'm Lin Feng, thank you very much for taking care of these two young men, master. No need to thank me. They're just talented, otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to help them at all, said the old man smiled. Jitian has an inherent original strength body. He can study and understand original strength very easily. I was delighted when I found that out. Inherent original strength body? Lin Feng looked at Jitian. His son already understood all sorts of strengths when he was a child. He was very talented. Enjoy your time with your father. I have things to do, said Mr. Time smiled politely. Lin Feng looked at Jitian and Qiong Sheng. He asked, You've been here for so long, haven't you tried to leave? We wanted to, but Mr. Time said it wasn't the right time, replied Qiong Sheng. Father, this place is a precious treasure all by itself. Come with us. After that his sons brought Lin Feng to another place. After a short time, Lin Feng saw many well-lit corridors. There were different places in all those corridors. There were all sorts of natural original strengths and destructive strengths. We practice cultivation here. When we don't understand something, Mr. Time helps us and the others. That's how we became so strong. Father, Jitian understands several original strengths at the maximum level, said Qiong Sheng smiled. I'm not as talented, but I practice cultivation really hard. Don't worry about me, I will definitely be able to compete with you at some point. Yes, we will, agreed Jitian, nodding and smiling. Good sons. You're grown-ups now. Let's go and see your mom, said Lin Feng, tapping their shoulders. He smiled and took them into his own world. Meng He and Yu were extremely happy to see them. Lin Hai and Yu Meng He were also extremely happy to see their grandchildren. Spending time with family was something wonderful. Empress Shi was there too, watching Lin Feng and the others. She was influenced by Qiuyu Xian and Xen Yi. Her aloofness was weakening with time. You still want to fight against me? Lin Feng asked her. Empress Shi had mixed feelings. She stared at Lin Feng and closed her eyes, then shook her head. I don't hate you anymore. Brother Netherworlds is free now. I hurt him. So let it go now, it's time, Lin Feng smiled. It was time to forget about their tensions. Chapter 2462. Cheated time in Lin Feng's world passed at the same pace as whatever place he was in. In his own world, Lin Feng started creating many useful things. He even made a place with Saint Luck. Jitian and Meng Qing practiced cultivation together. Lin Feng went to see Mr. Time. Master, said Lin Feng, bowing before Mr. Time politely. Young man, what do you want from me? Asked Mr. Time, smiling at Lin Feng. Master, you said my children were just very talented. I don't believe you. You taught them everything. I'm not going to ask you for details, though. I just want to ask you, what is the difference between time here and time in the outside world? Asked Lin Feng. You look quite ferocious. You're facing a disastrous situation, said Mr. Time. He didn't reply to Lin Feng's question. He said, Don't ask too much. I won't tell you anything. Master, it's important, pressed Lin Feng nervously. You can leave then, said Mr. Time indifferently. Lin Feng frowned. He was speechless. Mr. Time stared at Lin Feng and said, Little Oxy, why don't you come out to play when you see me? Lin Feng's face stiffened. His heart started pounding violently. Little Oxy? Lights flashed. Without Lin Feng doing anything, the old ox appeared and looked at the old man in a respectful way. Hello, Mr. Time. Ha, so many years have passed, long time no see. You've become so strong, little Oxy, Mr. Time laughed. Lin Feng's heart pounded even more furiously. The old ox had told him that his master had been stuck in Ganji's time for many years before and had understood time's strength here. Now Mr. Time had said to the old ox, Long time no see. So Mr. Time already existed back then? The scariest part was that the old ox was incredibly strong, and yet he looked at Mr. Time in a very, very respectful way. Master Ox, said Lin Feng to the old ox telepathically. Don't use telepathy. You can't hide anything from Mr. Time, said the old ox straightforwardly. Lin Feng, don't worry. Don't ask anything either. Just go. Lin Feng was extremely nervous. He nodded and withdrew, but his heart was pounding furiously. Was that the secret of Ganji's time? After Lin Feng left, the old ox walked closer to Mr. Time and crouched down. Mr. Time, I understood Time's strength thanks to you back in the days, thank you so much. Now, will you help Lin Feng? Help. Mr. Time frowned and shook his head. I didn't show him the way here. His children were lucky to arrive here too. I always help people who don't die in Ganji's time and make it this far, just like that little girl, but I don't care about that young man. Goddess Xian from the Phoenix clan came here too? Asked the old ox, curious. No. She went elsewhere, a place where I like to rest. I transmitted some knowledge to her. I wouldn't have thought she'd come back. She's greedy, replied Mr. Time, smiling and shaking his head. What about Lin Feng? Are you not going to take him out? Asked the old ox. He came here, so what? I love his kids. I hope they will stay here with me. Sometimes, they can go and have a walk to discover some new things if they wish, said Mr. Time, looking amused. Mr. Time, are they your disciples? Asked the old ox. His heart was racing. He was thinking Lin Feng's children were really lucky, extremely lucky, beyond imagination. That kind of opportunity was just too indescribable. They were even more lucky than his own master. I never said that. I only had one disciple in my life, but he was too disappointing. He surprisingly escaped. He wanted to have a free and unfettered life in the outside world. If I saw him again, I would break his legs. Even though Mr. Time talked that way, he smiled happily in reminiscence. I have one last question. Is my master still here? Asked the old ox, shivering. That was one thing he had wondered for a very long time. I said I wouldn't say anything, said Mr. Time smiled. Don't try to get a word from me. I want to see some agitation. The old ox sighed. He wouldn't get an answer. It was just like the last time he had come. This time, Mr. Time wouldn't answer questions about his master. His master had left in a fit of pique. His master used to be such an incredible cultivator. Actually, I can tell you some things, said Mr. Time at that moment. The old ox had some hopes again. I didn't lie to that young man. He's less and less lucky. He will face a disaster, but disasters help people grow up and become mature, right? Said Mr. Time, frowning as if he were seeing things. Lin Feng didn't know what the old ox and Mr. Time were talking about. He didn't know who Mr. Time was. Jitian and Xiong Xing didn't tell anything to Lin Feng, of course. He didn't blame them. Mr. Time was extremely strong, even the old ox seemed to respect them a lot. They had to be careful, including when they were talking to their own father. Lin Feng walked along a time corridor. According to Jitian, he had to be only a little bit careful inside, but apparently, their lives weren't in danger while in there. After a short time, Lin Feng arrived in front of the water original strength. Spluttering sounds spread in the air. He couldn't move further. Original strength, which really comes from the earth and the sky. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and looked at the water. Water flows, it's soft, it doesn't have a shape. But water can freeze. Water can harm people. In my previous life, when water boiled, it could also be very dangerous and burn people. And getting burned by boiling water is worse than being burned by fire, murmured Lin Feng. Water couldn't be divided. A drop of water could turn into several drops of water. Water could also become one again too. When 2 drops of water were together, they became 1 drop. Chapter 2463. Understanding Time. Lin Feng looked at the Time River and smiled. Master Ox, you cheated me. The old ox appeared behind Lin Feng, still looking unperturbed, and asked, You understood? I understood, he replied. Let me tell you though, since you know it. Before, you went to study, and you studied to check that you were wrong. That was wrong, you understood you were wrong, but then, realizing your understanding was erroneous and it turned out to be a great thing in the end, right? Murmured the old ox. I understand. Time isn't a kind of strength, it's not something you use to attack. Time doesn't change anything, and it can't kill people either. It just makes people grow old, that's all, said Lin Feng. Time can't change things. It's just something that exists. Water, fire, earth and so on exist too, but they have strength. Time doesn't have strength. It exists, it doesn't change anything, and that's all. Lin Feng then pointed at the time river and said, "There, time passes because Ganji's time is time original strength itself. Ganji's time is original strength itself. It contains time original strength." Meng Qing shivered. Ganji's time was original strength? Time is not a fusion of original strength, and decay is something that helps people understand time original strength. This place is pure time original strength, and it's as powerful as other kinds of original strengths we can study. But this place was created by the earth and the sky themselves, said Lin Feng. The old ox smiled and said, "You came here every day to watch the time of the outside world pass, to understand time? No. Time doesn't change anything. I need to understand slow and fast and make them fuse together with time," said Lin Feng. The old ox smiled happily and complimented, "You really understood. Master Ox, you can modify the speed at which time passes because you made fast fuse together with time original strength. Therefore, you can make time pass faster, just like you can make fast fuse together with any other kind of strength to make it faster. Even if the enemy is extremely strong, it doesn't change anything unless they also understand time strength. Ganji's time has the most natural time original strength because it was created by the earth and the sky. It also contains the purest original strengths. With time, original strengths fuse together. Slow and fast strengths are an example, and that's why time can pass faster or slower in different places. What I wonder now is, what kind of place is Ganji's time for real?" Lin Feng sighed. It was a forbidden territory which contained a perfect time strength and all sorts of original strengths. "I don't know either," said the old ox smiling. "What do you intend to do now?" "Sense the strength, of course," said Lin Feng. He was holding hands with Meng Qing and said, "Meng Qing, you go to Jitian, I'm going out." Meng Qing was waiting for Lin Feng at the end of the corridor. Tang Yuyu came and said, "So many years have passed. Why isn't he coming back?" "I know, right?" answered Meng Qing, turning around. She smiled. "He's like that. He doesn't care about danger. He's natural and unrestrained. But it's also because he's worried about us." "He's always like that when he's under pressure," said Tang Yuyu, shaking her head, "but now our young men are grown up. I hope they can help him a little." "What are you talking about?" asked someone at that moment. Meng Qing and Tang Yuyu raised their heads and smiled broadly. Someone had appeared in the time river and was smiling at them. Meng Qing and Tang Yuyu's beautiful eyes twinkled. They asked, "You don't know? You missed me every day, I had to come back," said Lin Feng, slowly walking towards them. He grasped their hands. "Who missed you? Yuyu?" asked Meng Qing, rolling her eyes. Tang Yuyu groaned proudly. "It's probably you, Meng Qing." "Is that so?" said Lin Feng, smiling and caressing their hands softly. They pinched his hands and Lin Feng took a deep breath. Lin Feng went to the old ox and said, "Master Ox, I'm going to leave Ganji's time." "How?" asked the old ox. "Mr. Time won't help you." "I'm sure there's a way to leave in the time strength," said Lin Feng smiled. The old ox nodded. "All right, you understood. You seem so confident." Lin Feng went to see Mr. Time. Jitian and Xiongxing were there as well. Lin Feng said, "Mr. Time, I'm leaving with my sons." "No," said Mr. Time, shaking his head. Lin Feng was startled and asked, "Why?" "No, why?" "They're not leaving," said Mr. Time. Lin Feng was speechless. "Lin Feng, since Mr. Time says that, they're staying here," said the old ox. Lin Feng remained silent for a few seconds and then nodded. He said to Jitian and Xiongxing, "Take care." "Father," said Jitian and Xiongxing, looking at Mr. Time. They looked at him in an imploring way. "I won't let you," said Mr. Time patiently. "Take care. You will have the opportunity to come out at some point," said Lin Feng. He knew that Mr. Time was an extraordinary person. He bowed and said, "Thank you for taking care of my children, Mr. Time." Then he turned around and left. His sons watched him leave. Chapter 2464. Back to the shrine back in the time corridor, Lin Feng turned around and looked at Jitian and Qiong Sheng. He smiled and said, "Go back and practice cultivation hard with Mr. Time." "So you knew father," said Qiong Sheng, looking at Lin Feng. "You think your father is stupid?" Lin Feng laughed. Then he glanced at the old ox and said, "Master Ox, you've been here before, it means you know how to leave." "I followed my master back then," replied the old ox. "This time, you will follow me." "You know how to leave Ganges time?" asked the old ox, flowing into his original form. "I spent years bathing in time lights. I also discovered a secret of Ganges time. If you follow a certain kind of time which works according to the same patterns, you will be safe," said Lin Feng, grinning at the old ox. "It means that among the people who come to Ganges time, only those who understand time and time patterns can leave from its depths." The old ox smiled but said nothing. He galloped forwards. "Let's leave." "Yes." Lin Feng looked at Yu Yu and Meng Qing, who didn't want to leave Qiong Sheng and Jitian. He shouted, "Meng Qing, Yu Yu, they're with Mr. Time and they'll be fine." Meng Qing and Yu Yu didn't want to leave their children, but in the end they went back into Lin Feng's world. Lin Feng and the old ox flew through the corridors of time. "Master Ox, I want to go back to my world to practice cultivation. Can you lead the way?" asked Lin Feng. The old ox replied, "What? You want to stay on my back?" "Master, you know it's not what I mean. I just can't afford to waste time." Lin Feng shrugged. The old ox said, "All right, jump on my back." "Thank you very much, master." He jumped onto the ox's back. Then he asked, "Master Ox, since we understand time and time patterns now, does it mean we can come back as we wish?" "Yes, if you want to come to Ganges time and drift in the rivers of time, you can. I just don't know how long you'll need to get out. Finding Mr. Time is impossible. You were just extremely lucky this time." Lin Feng smiled wryly. Indeed, how long would he need to get out? Sometimes some people stayed in here decades, sometimes centuries. People had to be patient inside. Lin Feng had never spent so much time in one place as in Ganges time. Lin Feng was on the ox's back and closed his eyes. He went into his own world. Now, his world had become much bigger. There were 5 saints Lin Feng had raised. But still, there were few strong people in his world. Apart from those he had brought in, great emperors were really rare, but Lin Feng didn't mind. He sensed the time in his world. He could now control the time there. "Now that I can fuse slow or fast together with time, I can make time pass slower or faster, but now I can only increase or decrease time speed by 8 times. When I understand it better, it will be 100 times, or even 1,000 times. When I manage to do that, it'll mean that 1,000 years in here will be like 1 year in the outside world. My world will expand that way." Lin Feng grinned at the thought. His world would be absolutely perfect someday, but first he needed to sort out some things. Once his world was perfect, Lin Feng wouldn't intervene anymore. He would let nature take its course. There were many different time rivers in Ganges time. Each river contained a specific sort of time with specific patterns. Some rivers had the same patterns, and so as long as a cultivator stayed in the rivers which had the same patterns, they were safe. Lin Feng had been drifting in the rivers of time for hundreds of years, comprehending the secrets of Ganges time. Back in the days, the old ox and his master had been there and understood the secrets of Ganges time as well. However, nobody could know how long they would stay there. Lin Feng didn't know either, and he had no other choice, anyway. 8 dozen years later, many strong cultivators appeared at the entrance of Ganges time in the supreme animal world. Ganges time was the most mysterious forbidden territory of the continent of the 9 clouds. There were many legends about it. Some people said there were other worlds in there. Of course, they were just guessing. "Look over there, there's someone in Ganges time," said someone in surprise. The group of strong cultivators gazed into the distance and saw a young man on a golden ox's back. He was drifting on the rivers of time. "An ox and a man. They look terrifyingly strong," murmured the crowd. The ox was running along, traveling across time. Very quickly, he came out of Ganges time. "There are cultivators." Lin Feng stared at the crowd. His eyes twinkled. The old ox came out and Lin Feng asked, "Where are we?" The people were dumbstruck, wondering if this man and ox from the ancient past. Master, we're in the supreme animal world, southern part, someone finally answered respectfully. Lin Feng was happy. Finally, we're finally out. What's the situation like regarding the War of the Shrines? Asked Lin Feng. The War of the Shrines? That person looked stunned and asked, Master, you mean the War of the Ancient Days? They thought Lin Feng was asking about the war in the far past, the one which had taken place a very, very long time before. No, I'm talking about the agreement between the Fortune Shrine and all the other shrines. What happened after? Asked Lin Feng. Oh, all the shrines went to the Fortune Shrine. It's going to start soon. I don't know what will happen this time, replied that person. Lin Feng and the old ox left as soon as that person finished talking, turning into beams of light. Lin Feng also used his jade talisman to inform the diviner he was on his way. It hadn't started yet. They had time. He surprisingly knew about the agreement. After Lin Feng left, those people were surprised. The agreement had been decided 2 years before, which meant that person had gone to Ganji's time for less than 2 years and he was still alive. On the way, Lin Feng and the diviner chatted. The diviner had been waiting in Phoenix Valley the whole time. He hadn't thought Lin Feng would come out through another passage. Teacher, how is the situation now? Asked Lin Feng to the diviner. Let's move and talk at the same time. The situation is critical. The Fortune Shrine is in great danger, replied the diviner. You didn't manage to convince any other shrine? Asked Lin Feng. The shrines all have their own plans. Convincing them is something difficult to do, same thing in the supreme animal world. The Fortune Shrine is alone. I've been in the Phoenix Valley the whole time and I didn't manage to convince them either. Now, the only hope is for us to win these battles, then we'll have less pressure on our backs, said the diviner. The members of the Fortune Shrine believed in good fortune, but they also understood how the world worked, and that strength wasn't something esoteric. Lin Feng remained silent. He didn't know how strong his enemy would be, all he could do was do his best to win. Lin Feng was confident, but wouldn't underestimate his opponent. By the way, Lin Feng, what about you? How ready are you? Asked the diviner, staring at Lin Feng. I will win no matter what, replied Lin Feng. He owed the Fortune Shrine. He could only win. Lin Feng and the diviner traveled back to Fortune City. Because of the agreement, there were strong cultivators from all over the continent of the 9 clouds in Fortune City. There were many, many saints. It was an incredible era. The continent of the 9 clouds hadn't seen such a thing for centuries. 2 people appeared in a palace floating in the sky of Fortune City and landed at the top of a small hill. They looked at the saints' battle stage. Lin Feng. The Fortune Shrine's leader suddenly opened his eyes and smiled at Lin Feng gently. Finally, you're back. My apologies, I didn't want you to be worried, Lin Feng bowed. You are blessed, I knew you'd come back, the leader smiled. 4 other people will battle on your side there. Lin Feng looked at the saints' battle stage. Chu Chun Chiu was there, wearing a purple robe. He looked proud, he despised common people. Kong Ming was there too, his palms together. He looked extremely calm, as if Chu Queen Chiu didn't exist. He was completely different from Chu Chun Chiu. They were both low-level saints. Their cultivation speed was already incredible. Back in the days, the destiny lights illuminated you and them. Chu Chun Chiu and Kong Ming are also incredible fighters, said the shrine's leader. Indeed, Lin Feng nodded. He looked at Ho Qing Lin, Jun Mo Shi, and Zhou Rongman, who were back too, as well as Hua Qing Feng and many other outstanding disciples of the Fortune Shrine. Chapter 2465. Grand Meeting. The disciples of the Fortune Shrine had all come back. They were going through these hardships together. Lin Feng looked over at the crowd and asked, Leader, are you sure about the fighters? Yes. They all participated in the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds back in the days. Apart from you, Kong Ming and Chu Chun Chiu are low-level saints. Zhou Rongman and Ho Qing Lin will fight in the group of half-saints. Their fighting abilities have been tested, the shrine's leader smiled. Lin Feng was surprised and murmured, I wouldn't have thought that these people would reach the top so quickly. That's destiny. That's also why the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds occurs every 100 years, and the destiny will even rotate it, because of you all. The shrine's leader smiled. People of that generation had grown up at an incredible speed, much quicker than the geniuses of the previous meetings of the continent of the 9 clouds. Coincidentally, or perhaps not, that batch of cultivators had been for the Fortune Shrine. The leader of the Fortune Shrine said, "The 5 of you represent the Fortune Shrine. Even though the selection is now determined, if anyone wants to give up, or if anyone thinks they can replace any of them, it's now or never." Everybody looked at the leader, but remained silent. They had all tried, they had fought many times, it was useless to try again. They had tried enough times. "Since nobody has anything to say, get ready," said the leader, walking away. Lin Feng walked over to the saint's battle stage. He glanced at Chu Chunqiu. Chu Chunqiu's eyes glittered as he also glanced at Lin Feng. "Are you ready, brother?" Lin Feng asked Ho Qing Lin. "We'll only know after the battle," replied Ho Qing Lin. Zhou Rongman also came over and said to Lin Feng, "I'm Zhou Rongman. I know your name is Zhou Rongman, you're the 333rd son of the Zhou clan," proclaimed Lin Feng, smiling at Zhou Rongman. "Lin Feng, I thought I was the strongest cultivator at the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds, but I ranked 4th. Now I'm still 4th. You're all much stronger. But I will do my best to catch up with you. Now I'm going to help you in the Fortune Shrine, and someday, I'll fight against you," said Zhou Rongman, smiling at Lin Feng with determination. "I'll wait for you," replied Lin Feng, smiling and nodding back at him. "Lin Feng, this time, you're the one in danger, so be very careful," said Ju Nemoshi. "They will do their best to kill you as quickly as possible. Your original strength hasn't been at the maximum level for a very long. Be careful." "Indeed," Lin Feng agreed. More and more strong cultivators gathered in Fortune City. Many people from other shrines appeared, their eyes filled with killing intent. The atmosphere was tense. Some symbols appeared in the sky, representing different shrines. The fire shrine symbol was a godly fire shield. Their members looked spectacular, dignified, and majestic. The thunder shrine symbol was a godly celestial hammer. There were thunders around it. Their people looked extremely aggressive. How spectacular! Many strong cultivators in the distance were amazed by the shrine's symbols. They looked incredible with their robes fluttering in the wind. The atmosphere was oppressive. A group of strong cultivators descended from the sky. They looked like immortals and enlightened beings. People felt good around them. They were strong cultivators from the Fortune Shrine. The Fortune Shrine's leader is holding the scepter of destiny. The crowd was stupefied when they saw the scepter of destiny in the Fortune Shrine's leader's hand. The shrine's leaders had probably all come with their most precious treasures. The previous time, the Empty Space Shrine's leader had sealed the U-City with the celestial sealing map. The leader of the Fortune Shrine smiled and said, "Today, you all came to my shrine and I feel honored. However, I would like to know some things. Many shrines came, but who is here to fight against us? And among those who aren't here to fight against us, what is your position?" The Empty Space Shrine's leader kind of decided everything on his own. "Empty Space Shrine's leader, who's your team?" The Empty Space Shrine's leader looked sharp where he was seated at the top of the bleachers. He smiled and murmured, "We are the Empty Space Shrine, the Fire Shrine, the Ice and Snow Shrine, the Dazzling Gold Shrine, the Wind Shrine, and the Demon Shrine. 6 shrines." The Fortune Shrine's leader smiled. He had anticipated that. He asked, "What about the position of the other shrines?" "The Soul Shrine is here to watch." The Soul Shrine's leader smiled. "The Earth Shrine wants to be a witness," said the Earth Shrine's leader. All the shrines expressed their opinions except for the Light Shrine, which didn't seem to exist. No shrine said they were on the side of the Fortune Shrine. "The Supreme Animal World will be a witness too," said middle-aged man who looked calm and composed, yet extremely aggressive. "I feel touched, Dragon Leader." The Fortune Shrine's leader nodded in acknowledgement. "The Rock Clan came to watch," said a strong cultivator from the Rock Clan. He was wearing a golden helmet and looked like a king. The Phoenix Clan, the Unicorn Clan, and the Tortoise Clan all said they were there to watch. And what about those people? No need to hide, said the empty space shrine's leader icily. Lights twinkled in the sky, and some coffins appeared. Don't worry about us, we're not here to bother anyone. The world lights flashed and disappeared as if they had never appeared. Who is the referee this time? Asked the fortune shrine's leader. A leader of a shrine, or a beast leader? Said the empty space shrine's leader, looking at those who didn't belong to any side. I'd like to recommend a referee, said someone in the crowd. Everybody looked at that person, and many people recognized him. Tian Ruojian is here, too. Tian Ruojian rose up in the air and smiled. I'm sure everybody will be satisfied by the referee I'd like to recommend. Who? Asked the empty space shrine's leader. After that, he gazed into the distance and saw some people arriving. Many people frowned. 3 people, the leader of the group was an old man. Peerless saint. Many people frowned. Only a peerless saint could assume that function. It's Weapon Master Bing. He became a peerless saint, how strong. Many people sighed with amazement. Since it was Weapon Master Bing, the 2 people at his sides had to be his fellow disciples, the best weapon makers in the world. You recommend Weapon Master Bing? Asked the empty space shrine's leader indifferently. My teacher, corrected Weapon Master Bing, smiling and floating above the battle stage. Congratulations and welcome, teacher. Teacher, the crowd gasped. Ah, an incredible chi rolled in the sky and the crowd heard someone laughing loudly. Weapon Master Bing's teacher. The best weapon maker in the world, the godly weapon master. He was there. The crowd trembled. They raised their heads and saw a vortex of empty space chi. Suddenly, a figure appeared. He said to Weapon Master Bing and the others, "Thank you, young men." "Thank you, teacher," answered the few people at the same time. The crowd was astonished. How young! That person was so young. Surprisingly, the best weapon maker in the world looked so young, and yet Weapon Master Bing was old, and admired him. I came to be the referee, you don't mind, right? Said the godly weapon master. Since you want to, no problem, said the empty space shrine's leader. He wasn't happy, he didn't know why the godly weapon master had come. This wasn't something he had anticipated. Chapter 2466. Buddhist Mountain's leader, the Fortune Shrine's leader, smiled. He announced, "Godly Weapon Master, Your Excellency, you are extremely famous in the continent of the 9 clouds, so you're an excellent candidate to be a referee." The Godly Weapon Master glanced over the crowd and smiled. He slowly walked forwards and landed at the top of some bleachers. His 3 disciples sat down just beneath him. "Since it's that way, I'm happy to be the referee," said the Godly Weapon Master. However, his tone of speech sounded strange. Many people had never seen the Godly Weapon Master, the best weapon maker in the world. "Show your 5 fighters. Once you send them to the front, you can't change them again," said the Godly Weapon Master. Both sides nodded. On the side of the Fortune Shrine, those who had been selected came to the front. Lin Feng, Kong Ming, Chu Chun Chiu, Ho Qing Lin, and Zhou Rong Man. On the other side, 6 shrines had decided to join hands. They also had to send 5 people. The crowd frowned when they saw their fighters. Saint Tian Xnmo was from the Demon Shrine, and he had been a saint for hundreds of thousands of years. Apart from the fact that he hadn't managed to fuse 2 sorts of special original strengths together, he was incredibly strong. Lin Feng, your opponent will probably be Saint Tian Xnmo. He's extremely strong. He can control other people's hearts. His demon and illusion original strengths have reached the maximum level. His powers are explosive and his methods sly, the diviner said to Lin Feng telepathically. Lin Feng looked at that demon. He had to be careful. Chu Chun Chiu and Kong Ming's opponents were respectively Saint Pa Di Su and Saint Cheong Xie from the Fire Shrine. Zhou Rong Man and Ho Qing Lin's opponents were Saint Bu Mie and someone nobody knew. He was only a half-saint, but was probably extremely strong, otherwise the shrines wouldn't have sent him. He was from the Ice and Snow Shrine, and looked mysterious. One thing was sure, though, on the side of the Fortune Shrine, the cultivators were young, and on the other side, they were all old and terrifyingly strong. Some of them used to be extremely famous, and then they had stopped showing up in public. Only the cultivator of the ice and snow shrine was extremely mysterious. Saint Tian Xnmo, Saint Pa Di Su, Saint Cheong Xie, Saint Bumie, the 6 shrines had sent their best fighters. The Fortune Shrine's chance of success was extremely low, especially for Lin Feng, 2 years. How could he resist some like Saint Tian Xnmo after only 2 years? If one side surrenders, then it's a loss. If nobody surrenders, then it's a battle to death. What do you think? Said the godly weapon master. I don't mind, said the Fortune Shrine's leader. I have no objection either, replied the Empty Space Shrine's leader. Even though the battles are happening in Fortune City, 6 shrines came to challenge the Fortune Shrine and they have the advantage. So the 6 shrines should choose cultivators first and the Fortune Shrine can send someone of the same cultivation level. What do you think? Said the godly weapon master. The Fortune Shrine wouldn't mind. The Empty Space Shrine's leader smiled and agreed. All right. The Empty Space Shrine's leader looks very self-confident, murmured the crowd. The Fortune Shrine was in a very difficult situation. 6 shrines had joined hands against the Fortune Shrine, and all their fighters were incredible, the best at their cultivation level. The Fortune Shrine's fighters looked much weaker. But the Fortune Shrine had chosen them for a reason. Since you look so happy, start now, said the godly weapon master. Everybody looked at the Empty Space Shrine's leader. First battle, Cheong Xie, you go, said the Empty Space Shrine's leader. Saint Cheong Xie flashed forwards and landed on the battle stage. Kong Ming, that one is yours, said the Fortune Shrine's leader. Very good. Kong Ming put his palms together and floated over to the battle stage, landing in front of Cheong Xie. He looked calm and serene as he said, Please, let's exchange views on cultivation. Cheong Xie didn't say anything. He threw a finger out and a fire trail appeared. Flames emerged from all his fingers and shot forwards. The atmosphere started burning slowly, and the temperature on the battle stage increased drastically. The godly weapon master waved his hand, and an illusion surrounded the battle stage. Kong Ming was chanting mantras in a magnificent Brahma voice. Gigantic words appeared in the air. A countless number of ancient Buddhas appeared everywhere and raised their hands. Die, said Cheong Xie icily. A countless number of fire hands moved towards the ancient Buddha's hands. It felt like their energies could destroy everything in their way. At the same time, he also charged at Kong Ming. He raised his finger, trying to punish his enemy. Is he going to destroy the Buddhas? Wondered the crowd. A countless number of fire hands surrounded the Buddhas. Everything was burning around them. At the same time, fire tentacles coiled around Kong Ming. However, Kong Ming looked unconcerned. He continued chanting, his voice resonating everywhere. A gigantic Buddha appeared on and around Kong Ming's body, bearing 4 faces. He chanted mantras, and the sound waves moved in all directions, oppressing the fire energies and preventing them from moving closer. At the same time, Cheong Xie also heard the mantras, which shook his brain violently, illusory Buddhas appearing in his mind. Cheong Xie looked nervous. A flame appeared in his mind, his skull flared with light, preventing the mantra sound waves from influencing him. At the same time, in the outside world, he condensed an incredible amount of fire in his hands. The fire grew more and more intense. Buddha's imprints approached him, and he destroyed them. What's that? The crowd frowned. That flame was incredible. You will get destroyed by a pure fire celestial Tao. You're lucky, you should feel honored, shouted Cheong Xie at Kong Ming. Then he flashed forwards, space undulating around him. He raised his finger again, dazzlingly bright. The shining Buddhas looked less bright next to such a fire. The fire and the Buddhist energies collided, but that flame seemed indestructible. The flame can't be stopped. It can destroy anything, swore the crowd. The Fortune Shrine's cultivators were shocked and nervous. Was Kong Ming going to be killed? The pure fire celestial Tao got closer and closer to Kong Ming. Kong Ming slowly raised his head. Suddenly, Cheong Xie looked scared. He felt terrified deep inside, and as his soul shook, his flame flickered. Ah! Cheong Xie shrieked. His flames suddenly dispersed. A gigantic Buddha's hand descended from the sky. thunder rolled, and Xiongxia's body instantly turned into ashes. Impossible! The fire shrine's strong cultivators were astonished. How was this possible? How could Xiongxia lose? The fortune shrine's cultivators were astounded. The fortune shrine's leader's eyes twinkled. As expected, what he had seen back in the days in the Destiny Wheel was right. I dedicate this battle to the fortune shrine, said Kong Ming slowly. The fortune shrine's leader nodded and said calmly, Kong Ming, you can stay or leave the shrine, as you wish. Listen to your heart. The fortune shrine will never force you to do anything. Kong Ming turned around and bowed before the fortune shrine's leader. Thank you very much, leader. I will never be an enemy of the fortune shrine. Kong Ming's figure flickered and he left naturally, happy, relaxed and lighthearted. Before leaving, he glanced at Lin Feng. The fortune shrine's leader sighed. Kong Ming had a pure heart. Lin Feng glanced at Kong Ming. He understood something from Kong Ming's eyes. He understood who Kong Ming was. Each step of the Buddhist mountain's flight of stairs represents a disaster, a calamity. One of them is his story. A demon appeared, he became completely disillusioned. He's both a Buddhist and a demon cultivator. That's how he achieved supreme enlightenment. He's neither a demon nor a Buddhist, murmured Lin Feng. Buddhist cultivators were also demon cultivators. Kong Ming, the Holy City Buddhist Mountains leader. Chapter 2467. Doomed? The godly weapon master smiled and said, The fortune shrine won the first battle. Empty space shrine's leader, send your second cultivator. Di Su you go, said the empty space shrine's leader. He pulled a long face. If Xiongxia had won that battle, he would have been much more relaxed. However, he had lost, so the others had to make great efforts. He was very nervous. Initially, he was convinced they'd win the first battle, so he had set high hopes on it. Chu Chun Chiu, said the fortune shrine's leader. Chu Chun Chiu slowly walked over to the battle stage and stepped on it. Saint Di Su released his chi. He didn't say anything, he immediately raising his hand, which looked illusory. Chu Chun Chiu was surprised. There was a rumble of thunder, and the hand immediately smashed into his body. Everybody was astonished. Chu Chun Chiu, who had finished third at the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds back in the days, couldn't withstand a single attack? Saint Di Su didn't understand either. However, he continued advancing towards Chu Chun Chiu. Chu Chun Chiu withdrew and said, I have to resign myself, I surrender. An eerie silence filled the air. People couldn't believe it. Everybody was astonished. Chu Chun Chiu had become a legendary genius with time, and he just surrendered? Asshole, shouted an old man of the fortune shrine. He released a deadly chi. He hadn't expected such a thing. There were people like Kong Ming who were amazing, and people like Chu Chun Chiu who surrendered and made no effort. Ingrate. Traitor. People insulted Chu Chun Chiu, but he ignored them. Lin Feng looked at Chu Chun Chiu calmly. He was a bit surprised. He didn't know why Chu Chun Chiu had done that. Even if he was emotionless, the fortune shrine had helped him a lot, yet he hadn't even tried anything. He had instantly surrendered. By doing so, the fortune shrine might be destroyed. Why did Chu Chun Chiu mean the fortune shrine harm? Nobody could be sure. A strong cultivator of the fortune shrine shouted, Kill that traitor. No, said the fortune shrine's leader, shaking his head. If they killed Chu Chun Chiu, the fortune shrine would lose face. The fortune shrine couldn't kill disciples because of a defeat. No need to pay attention to a traitor. Next battle, said the fortune shrine's leader indifferently. The empty space shrine's team won the second battle. Third battle, empty space shrine's leader, who will you send? Asked the godly weapon master. Nothing could affect him. He looked young and unperturbed, unlike his older-seeming disciples. Boumye, said the dazzling gold shrine's leader. Saint Boumye flashed forwards. He looked conceited and arrogant. He looked at Zhou Rongman and Ho Qing Lin, excited and ready to fight. I'm coming, said Zhou Rongman, jumping onto the battle stage and landing in front of Boumye. He also looked proud. Umph. Boumye grunted icily. Dazzling golden lights appeared around him, and buzzing sounds filled in the air. People's eardrums began to ache. What an incredible strength! The crowd looked at Bumie. An invisible and intangible strength filled the air about him. He looked like a king. Saint Bumie has an immortal Vajra king body. He's been a saint for so many years, his powers are incredible. His whole body is tougher than a saint's weapon. Zhou Rong Man disappeared for so many years. The last time he was seen was during the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds. He will probably lose this time, murmured the crowd. Zhou Rong Man's eyes glittered. He jumped forwards and raised his fist. Bumie wasn't afraid. He also raised his Vajra fist and threw it out. His fist collided with Zhou Rong Man's fist with a bang. Both of them were blown backwards. They didn't release a terrifying chi, they just fought in a simple way. Zhou Rong Man's physical body is terrifying. He can compete with Bumie. Hissed the crowd. The fortune shrine had selected him to fight, which meant he was extraordinarily strong. Bang! Bumie shook. Golden lights appeared all around him, even emerging from his 7 apertures. He shot forwards again with his explosive golden fist. Zhou Rong Man howled furiously and threw his fist out as well. He didn't use any saint's technique. Kaboom! A terrifying explosion made people's eardrums even sorer. The space undulated around the fighters. It felt as if they had been surrounded by millions of drums. His fist is even more powerful than a saint's weapon, judged someone. Their attacks looked simple, but they were incredibly powerful. Not bad, said Bumie, feeling even more determined. More golden lights appeared around him. A sharp sound rang out. Many people had the impression they were going to faint. Bumie's strength kept increasing. Zhou Rong Man shouted furiously. Millions of strong arms appeared around him. Millions of fists streaked across the sky in all directions, as if millions of people were beating drums at the same time. Pure strength curdled the air, and golden lights flashed in the sky as Bumie used a saint's technique. An ancient destructive chi emerged from Zhou Rong Man's body as he roared. His millions of arms became even bigger, his figure disappearing behind all his arms. My men, shouted Zhou Rong Man as he threw all his arms forwards. He pressed ahead with an indomitable will and oppressed his opponent's golden lights. How strong! They're both incredibly strong. People's hearts were racing. If a half-saint like them had been in the middle, they would have exploded instantly. They could even compete with some weaker low-level saints. The millions of arms surrounded both fighters. Strident clashing sounds rang out ceaselessly. Die, 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 shouted Bumie. Golden lights flashed. Zhou Rong Man roared back. The battle was crazy. Their fists kept colliding, mesmerizing the crowd. After a very long time, the battle became less fierce. Lights dispersed. An incredible scene appeared in front of the watchers. Bumie's lower body had exploded. In front of him was a gigantic godly insect. It looked as powerful as a godly dragon, but the sad thing was that the insect had been crushed and was bathed in blood. It looked miserable. You lost, said Bumie to Zhou Rong Man. Even though he had lost his lower body, he still looked cold and indifferent. Arg! The godly insect roared furiously and fell down from the sky, then turned into Zhou Rong Man again. A light surrounded Zhou Rong Man's body. The diviner walked up to him, grabbed him and went back. At the same time, a strong cultivator of the dazzling gold shrine took Bumie and brought him away. The fortune shrine had lost, though. 2 more battles. If the fortune shrine loses the next battle, it'll be over for them, whispered the crowd, watching Lin Feng, Ho Qing Lin, Saint Tian XNMO, and the mysterious saint. If Lin Feng fights against Saint Tian XNMO, he's definitely going to lose. The fortune shrine is doomed. They can't win anymore. It can't be changed, thought the crowd. The history of the continent of the 9 clouds was going to change. Lin Feng couldn't win, and Ho Qing Lin probably couldn't win against that mysterious cultivator either. It's all because of Chu Chun Chiu, that traitor. Things would have been different if he hadn't betrayed the fortune shrine. Sighed a member of the fortune shrine. They had lost 2 of the 3 battles. How could they hope to win against Saint Tion XNMO and the mysterious cultivator? Their chances to win were very low. Let's continue, said the godly weapon master calmly. The mysterious cultivator walked out, smiling coldly. He was definitely going to win. Would he let Ho Ching Lin win? Was that even possible? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.